In the shadows of ancient lands, there are secrets buried beneath layers of time, whispers of civilizations that defy explanation. Stone structures that speak of forgotten gods, mysterious artifacts, and puzzling ruins that leave us questioning everything we thought we knew. What happened to these lost worlds? What knowledge have we yet to uncover? From the desert sands of Palestine to the jungles of South America, these ancient mysteries remain unsolved, challenging the boundaries of history and science. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into the unknown. High in the Peruvian Andes, nestled near the shores of Lake Titicaca, lies one of the most intriguing and enigmatic sites in South America, Aramu Muru. Often referred to as the gateway to the gods or the doorway to another dimension, this ancient structure seems to defy conventional understanding. Carved into a massive rock face, the doorway is a perfectly rectangular opening, its edges so sharp and precise that they almost appear to have been worked with tools beyond what ancient cultures were known to possess. At first glance, it looks like a simple portal, a thin slit of stone that invites the viewer to step into something beyond. But the mystery of Aramu Muru runs far deeper than that. The rock formation, standing in quiet solitude against the backdrop of the mountains, appears almost out of place. It is as though this site was deliberately chosen for its power, its ability to captivate the imagination. Some even suggest it might have once been part of a larger, now lost complex, one that could have been a ceremonial site, or perhaps something more, a means of communication with the heavens or other realms. But like many such sites, it is shrouded in more questions than answers. The history of Aramu Muru stretches back over 1,000 years, to the rise and fall of pre-Columbian civilizations like the Tiwanaku and the Inca. The area around Lake Titicaca, long considered sacred by indigenous peoples, has seen countless theories emerge about the advanced knowledge of these ancient cultures. Some believe the site was used for rituals, perhaps as a portal for spiritual journeys, while others propose it was a marker for celestial events. Yet, despite its significance, there is no conclusive evidence explaining the purpose of the doorway. The most intriguing part of the story, however, is what it has come to represent in modern lore. In the 20th century, Aramu Muru gained attention when it was linked to stories of extraterrestrial visitors and ancient civilizations that possessed advanced technologies. Local legends speak of a mysterious figure, known as the Hijos del Sol, Sons of the Sun, who supposedly used the doorway to travel between dimensions, crossing into realms of higher knowledge. Some believe this is where the ancient Inca priests passed through, entering a hidden world or even making contact with divine beings. The doorway itself, smooth and deliberate in its form, seems to hint at a greater purpose, but no definitive explanation has emerged. Some researchers suggest that the shape of the gateway, along with certain astronomical alignments, points to its use as a portal, both symbolic and physical. Could it have once been a sacred entrance for important ceremonies? Or perhaps, as some believe, it served as an ancient stargate, guiding the way for those seeking enlightenment or access to the gods? Mainstream historians tend to dismiss such ideas, attributing the site to cultural and religious practices of the time. According to some experts, the gateway could have simply been a form of ritualistic architecture, designed to represent the transition between the physical and spiritual worlds. Others suggest it may have been a symbolic entryway into the afterlife, a concept not uncommon in Andean cultures. Yet for all the explanations offered, the site seems to transcend simple categorization. The energy surrounding Aramu Muru continues to intrigue those who visit. Many report an overwhelming sense of peace or heightened awareness when near the site, fueling the belief that there is something more to this place than meets the eye. The surrounding landscape, gripped by mist and shadow with the calm waters of Lake Titicaca reflecting the fading light of day, only deepens the sense of mystery. And yet, no one has been able to definitively prove what the site was truly intended for. Some of the more speculative theories suggest it could be a remnant of a civilization far older than even the Incas, possibly dating back thousands of years before their rise. The possibility of an ancient lost technology, one that could explain the seemingly unnatural precision of the stonework, remains tantalizing. But it's also possible that the truth is simply beyond our grasp, a truth that might never be fully understood. As you stand before the stone doorway of Aramu Muru, it becomes clear that this site, like so many others around the world, is both a testament to human ingenuity and a reminder of the limits of our knowledge. Its purpose may never be fully explained, but it will continue to inspire questions, fueling the imagination of those who seek to uncover the mysteries of the ancient world. What lies beyond the stone? And perhaps more importantly, what other mysteries are waiting to be uncovered beneath the soil of our planet, hidden in plain sight, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves? As we leave behind the mysterious doorway of Aramu Muru, we are transported to an entirely different yet equally perplexing sight, one that lies beneath the surface of Malta, hidden in the depths of the earth, shrouded in silence and steeped in mystery. The hypogeum of Ħal Saflieni, a subterranean temple and burial complex, remains one of the most remarkable and enigmatic archaeological sites in the world. Discovered by accident in 1902, the hypogeum is a vast underground structure carved entirely from limestone. Its origins date back to around 3600 BC, making it older than the pyramids of Egypt, and it is believed to have been in use for nearly a millennium. The site was initially thought to be a series of tombs, but further investigation has revealed something far more complex. Its layout includes multiple levels, chambers, and passageways, all intricately designed and seemingly meant for purposes far beyond simple burial. The walls of the hypogeum are adorned with faint red ochre paintings, some depicting spirals and geometric patterns, which are often associated with sacred or mystical symbolism. The chambers themselves are arranged in a way that suggests a highly organized and purposeful design, with specific rooms thought to have served as places for rituals, offerings, and worship. Among these chambers is the so-called oracle room, a space that has become one of the most mysterious features of the hypogeum. Here, sound and acoustics play a role that is not fully understood. Visitors who stand in the center of the room claim to experience a unique resonance, their voices taking on a deep, almost otherworldly tone. This room's ability to amplify sound has led some to speculate that it may have had a ceremonial purpose, possibly used to connect with the divine or as part of a sacred ritual. Yet, despite extensive study, much about the hypogeum remains a mystery. The true purpose of the site has been the subject of debate for years. Was it simply a necropolis, a burial ground for the people who lived on Malta thousands of years ago? Or did it serve a much greater role, perhaps as a temple or a spiritual center, designed to connect the living with the dead or with some higher power? There is evidence that the hypogeum was used for both purposes, but the precise relationship between its religious and funerary functions is unclear. What we do know is that the site was intentionally built with immense skill and purpose. This was no simple underground burial chamber, but a vast, complex structure dug into the earth with precision. The construction of the hypogeum itself raises more questions than answers. How did a civilization with such limited technology manage to carve such an intricate network of rooms, passageways, and chambers into solid rock? The quality of the work and the fact that it has remained largely intact for over 5,000 years is a testament to the advanced architectural knowledge of its creators. But how they achieved such feats without the tools we might expect, and how they navigated the subterranean maze without leaving a trace of their methods, continues to baffle researchers. In addition to its remarkable construction, the hypogeum is notable for the many skeletal remains discovered within it. Thousands of bones, some of which belong to individuals who were buried with great care, have been uncovered. Many of these bones show signs of ritualistic treatment, skulls that were intentionally deformed, bodies buried in elaborate positions. Some bones are believed to have been placed in specific arrangements, potentially hinting at ritual significance. The discovery of these remains has led to numerous theories about the religious or spiritual practices of the people who built the hypogeum. Some suggest that the site served as a place for ancestor worship, where the living sought to commune with the spirits of the dead. Others believe it may have been a center for fertility rituals, or a place where the souls of the deceased were believed to pass into another realm. One of the most intriguing aspects of the hypogeum is its possible connection to the ancient world's understanding of acoustics and sound. As we noted earlier, the oracle room's acoustics are highly unusual. Some have even suggested that this room, with its unique sound properties, may have been used in ceremonies to induce altered states of consciousness. Did the inhabitants of Malta possess a deeper understanding of sound's spiritual or metaphysical properties? Was the resonance of this room intentionally designed to facilitate communication with otherworldly forces, or to create an atmosphere of transcendence during religious rituals? In addition to its acoustic properties, the hypogeum has become the subject of more speculative theories. Some researchers have pointed to the use of sound, light, and geometry at the site as evidence of an ancient civilization that understood and perhaps harnessed energy in ways that modern science is only beginning to explore. Could the hypogeum have been a center for knowledge that was lost to time? Some suggest that the temple complex might have been a place where sacred knowledge, both practical and spiritual, was passed down, perhaps even used to influence the natural world. Could this ancient site have been a place of healing or enlightenment, where sound frequencies and other esoteric practices were used to treat the mind, body, and spirit? There is also the question of why the hypogeum was eventually abandoned. The site seems to have fallen out of use around 2500 BC, although there is no clear evidence explaining why. Was it because the people of Malta had outgrown the need for such a sacred space? Or was there another, more mysterious reason for its abandonment? Was the site intentionally hidden away, lost to history, waiting to be rediscovered? For all the theories and speculation, one thing remains clear. The hypogeum of Ħal Saflieni is not just another ancient burial site. It is a complex and mysterious structure that continues to baffle archaeologists, historians, and researchers alike. The precision of its design, the strange acoustics, the ritualistic remains, each of these elements points to a society with a deep, almost otherworldly understanding of the physical and spiritual world. Yet, despite extensive study, its full purpose remains elusive, and perhaps it always will. What truly was the hypogeum? A temple? A burial site? A center of healing or knowledge? Or something else entirely? Something that, perhaps, we are only beginning to understand. And as we ponder the mysteries of the hypogeum, we are left with one lingering thought. What other secrets lie hidden beneath the earth, waiting for the right moment to be revealed? As we leave behind the enigmatic underground chambers of the hypogeum, we journey to another ancient site, one that rises above the earth rather than delving beneath its surface. This site, known as Rujum el-Hiri, sits quietly in the arid landscape of the Golan Heights, in what is now northern Palestine. To the untrained eye, it might seem like little more than a pile of stones scattered across the desert floor. But a closer look reveals something far more mysterious. An ancient structure whose purpose remains a riddle, puzzling archaeologists, historians, and explorers alike. Rujum el-Hiri, often referred to as the stone circle of the Golan, consists of massive stone formations arranged in concentric circles. At its core stands a large central mound, surrounded by a series of stone rings that radiate outward, forming a geometric pattern that is both striking and deliberate. The entire structure spans over 500 feet in diameter, with its stones carefully placed to create a remarkable sense of symmetry. The most prominent feature is the central cairn, which rises more than 10 feet above the surrounding terrain. It is surrounded by a series of smaller stone circles, many of which are aligned with the cardinal directions. The precision with which the stones are arranged suggests a level of planning and organization far beyond what one might expect from a simple burial site or a crude marker. What is truly intriguing about Rujum El Hiri, however, is not just its sheer size or complexity, but the fact that no one knows for certain what it was used for, or even who built it. Radiocarbon dating places the structure's construction around 3000 BC, making it nearly as old as the pyramids of Egypt. It predates many of the known ancient civilizations in the region, including the Phoenicians and the Hebrews, yet there are no written records or artifacts to shed light on its creators. It is as though the people who constructed Rujum El Hiri left no trace of themselves, leaving only their stones behind. Theories about the purpose of the site abound. Some believe that Rujum El Hiri was a ritualistic or ceremonial center, perhaps a place where ancient peoples came to perform sacred rites or to mark significant astronomical events. The alignment of the stone circles with the cardinal directions, as well as the positioning of the central cairn, has led some researchers to suggest that the site may have been used to track the movements of the sun and stars. Could it have been an ancient observatory, used by a long-lost civilization to study the heavens? Was it a place of worship, dedicated to gods whose names have long since been forgotten? Others have speculated that Rujum El Hiri might have served a more practical purpose, perhaps as a settlement, a trading hub, or even a defensive stronghold. The large central mound could have been used as a platform for lookouts, while the concentric stone circles might have served as enclosures for livestock or storage. Yet, this theory does not account for the remarkable precision with which the site was constructed, nor the fact that the stone structures appear to be purposefully arranged rather than randomly assembled. Some fringe theories have suggested that Rujum El Hiri might not have been built by humans at all, but rather by an ancient, unknown civilization with advanced knowledge of architecture and astronomy. These theories often draw on the site's unusual construction and its alignment with celestial bodies to suggest that it may have been the work of an extraterrestrial intelligence or a lost civilization with technology far beyond our current understanding. While these ideas are not widely accepted by mainstream scholars, they serve to underscore the mystery that surrounds the site, one that continues to captivate the imagination. Even more intriguing are the connections that some researchers have drawn between Rujum El Hiri and other ancient stone structures across the globe. Some claim that the arrangement of stones at Rujum El Hiri bears a striking resemblance to other megalithic sites, such as Stonehenge in England and the Karnak stones in France. Could there be a link between these disparate sites, suggesting a shared cultural or religious tradition? Or is it merely a coincidence that ancient cultures around the world built similar stone structures, each with its own unique purpose and significance? What is even more baffling is the fact that the site appears to have been abandoned at some point, its original purpose forgotten by the people who once inhabited the region. Over time, the stones of Rujum El Hiri were scattered, and the site fell into disrepair. The reasons for this abandonment remain unclear. Was it due to environmental changes, warfare, or simply a shift in the cultural or religious practices of the people who once revered the site? Or, as some suggest, was Rujum El Hiri abandoned for a far more mysterious reason, perhaps because its creators left for distant lands, taking their knowledge and their purpose with them? The unanswered questions surrounding Rujum El Hiri only add to its allure. Despite decades of research, no one has been able to definitively explain its purpose, its creators, or its ultimate fate. The stones, which once formed a unified and purposeful structure, now lie scattered across the landscape, their secrets locked away in the silence of the desert. As we stand before this ancient enigma, we are left with more questions than answers. What was Rujum-el-Khiri truly meant to be? Was it a temple, an observatory, a settlement, or something else entirely? Could it have been a place of great spiritual or astronomical significance? Or was it simply a marker for something far more mundane? And why, after all these centuries, do we still find ourselves drawn to its stones, unable to shake the feeling that we are on the brink of uncovering something profound? The mystery of Rujum-el-Khiri remains unsolved, its true purpose still hidden beneath the sands of time, waiting to reveal its secrets to those willing to listen. As we leave the stone circles of Rujum-el-Khiri behind, our journey now takes us to the lush, rolling hills of Bada Valley in Indonesia. Here, nestled among the dense forests and hidden from the untrained eye, lies a mysterious site that has puzzled archaeologists and explorers for generations: the Bada Valley megaliths. The valley is home to hundreds of megalithic structures, some of which are so intricately crafted and so large in scale that they seem almost out of place within the natural landscape. The stones, some standing upright and others lying in abandoned formations, are scattered across the valley floor, their surfaces worn by time but still bearing faint carvings that hint at a distant and forgotten past. The sheer number and size of these megaliths make the site comparable to other ancient stone formations around the world, like those found at Stonehenge or the Great Pyramids. Yet, unlike these more famous sites, the Bada Valley remains an enigma. Its purpose, its builders, and even the specific dates of its construction are all still subjects of heated debate. The most striking feature of the Bada Valley megaliths is the large stone figures that stand upright, their faces carved with enigmatic expressions. These towering statues, some more than 8 feet tall, are believed to represent human or ancestral figures, though their precise meaning remains elusive. The carvings on their surfaces are worn and eroded, but they appear to depict various figures, some with exaggerated features, others with intricate symbols etched into their stone surfaces. What purpose did these statues serve? Were they representations of gods, ancestors, or something else entirely? Dating the Bada Valley megaliths has proven to be a difficult task. While some researchers believe the site may have been in use as early as 3000 BC, there is no definitive evidence to confirm the exact period of construction. The megaliths themselves appear to have been placed in the valley over the course of several centuries, and their arrangement suggests a deliberate pattern. Yet, despite the efforts of numerous researchers, the exact method by which the megaliths were transported and arranged remains a mystery. The size and weight of these stones, some weighing several tons, would have made their movement a colossal effort for any ancient civilization, yet no records or artifacts have been found to explain how this was accomplished. Theories about the origins of the Bada Valley megaliths range from the conventional to the speculative. Some scholars believe the site was built by the ancestors of the megalithic cultures that once inhabited Southeast Asia, potentially connected to the Austronesian people who spread across the Pacific and Indian Oceans. According to this theory, the valley's megalithic structures were used for religious or ceremonial purposes, perhaps as a way to honor ancestors or communicate with the divine. The carvings on the stones, many of which are too worn to fully interpret, may represent the gods or spirits of the ancient peoples who created the site. Other researchers, however, suggest that the Bada Valley megaliths could be older than commonly believed, potentially predating even the earliest known civilizations in Southeast Asia. The stone figures, with their distinctive carvings and unusual proportions, have led some to speculate that they might be the remnants of a lost civilization, one with advanced knowledge of art, architecture, and perhaps even astronomy. Could these megaliths have been part of a sophisticated system used to track celestial movements, or were they markers for some unknown ritual or spiritual practice? Could they have been built by a culture far more advanced than we previously imagined? One whose knowledge has been lost to the sands of time? The mysterious carvings on the megaliths only add to the intrigue. Some depict humanoid figures, while others are adorned with abstract geometric shapes or swirling patterns. The lack of written records and the erosion of the carvings make it nearly impossible to decipher their meaning, leaving scholars to wonder what these symbols represented. Were they a form of early writing, or perhaps a method of communicating with the gods? Or were they simply symbolic representations of the natural world, a way to link the earth and the heavens through the medium of stone? There are also those who believe that the Bada Valley megaliths were created as a form of astronomical observatory. Some of the megaliths are arranged in such a way that they align with specific points in the sky, particularly during key celestial events such as solstices or eclipses. The positioning of the statues and stones in relation to the sun and the moon suggests that the ancient people of the Bada Valley might have been keenly aware of the celestial rhythms that governed their world. Could these megaliths have been part of an elaborate system used to track time, seasons, or important events? Could they have been used to predict the movements of the stars or planets, giving their creators a deeper understanding of the cosmos? As with many ancient sites, there are also more speculative theories surrounding the Bada Valley megaliths. Some have suggested that the site may be evidence of contact with extraterrestrial civilizations, drawing parallels between the carved figures and depictions of beings from other worlds in ancient cultures around the globe. While these ideas are not widely accepted by mainstream historians, they continue to capture the imagination of those who believe that the ancient peoples of Earth were in communication with beings from the stars. The advanced nature of the megalithic structures, combined with the mysterious carvings and the potential astronomical alignments, has led some to propose that the site was a center for knowledge and technology far beyond what we know of ancient civilizations. Despite decades of research and exploration, many questions remain unanswered about the Bada Valley megaliths. Who were the people who built this site, and what motivated them to construct such an elaborate and mysterious set of stone structures? What do the carvings and alignments really mean, and why were they created with such care and precision? Was the site purely ceremonial, or did it serve a more practical purpose? And why, after all these centuries, do we still find ourselves standing before these ancient stones, unable to fully unlock their secrets? As we leave the megaliths behind and continue our journey through the mysteries of ancient civilizations, the Bada Valley serves as a poignant reminder that there are still countless unknowns waiting to be uncovered. The past, with all its mysteries and wonders, remains just out of reach, its secrets hidden in plain sight. What other enigmas lie buried in the earth, waiting to be discovered by those willing to search for the answers? As we leave behind the ancient stones of Bada Valley, we now travel to the heart of Romania, where another captivating mystery awaits us, one that lies hidden deep within the forests of the southern Carpathians. Here, nestled high in the mountains, sits Sarmizegetusa Regia, the ancient capital of the Dacians. This forgotten city, once a center of power, spirituality, and mystery, still holds secrets that have eluded historians for centuries. Sarmizegetusa Regia was the political and spiritual center of the Dacian kingdom, which thrived before it was conquered by the Roman Empire in 106 BC. What remains today are the ruins of a once thriving city, spread across a series of terraces and surrounded by imposing defensive walls made of giant stones. These walls, constructed with a level of craftsmanship that still baffles archaeologists, are one of the most striking features of the site. The massive blocks of stone, some weighing several tons, fit together with such precision that not even a knife blade can be slipped between them. The sheer scale and complexity of the construction suggest a civilization that was far more advanced than its time. As we explore the site, we are struck by the vastness of Sarmizegetusa Regia. The city is divided into several sections, each with its own distinct function. At the heart of the site stands the sacred area, where several large circular and rectangular structures are arranged in a pattern that hints at some form of astronomical or ritual significance. These stone structures, thought to have been used for religious ceremonies, are aligned in such a way that they seem to have been carefully placed to mark the movement of celestial bodies. Could this site have been an ancient observatory, built by a civilization that had an advanced understanding of the stars and their influence on the earth? Or was it a place of power, where the Dacian rulers connected with the gods and sought to ensure the prosperity of their kingdom? The layout of the city itself also reveals much about the Dacians' sophisticated engineering and urban planning. Terraces, roads, and defensive structures were meticulously designed to protect the city from invaders, while also ensuring the flow of water and resources. The city's strategic location, high in the mountains and surrounded by dense forests, made it an ideal place to control the surrounding region. Yet, despite its impressive fortifications and strategic position, Sarmizegetusa Regia fell to the Roman legions in 106 BC, and much of its history was lost to time. In the centuries that followed, the city was abandoned, and nature slowly reclaimed the land. The forest grew over the ancient stones, and the ruins became little more than a whisper of the past, hidden from the eyes of the world. It wasn't until the 19th century that archaeologists began to uncover the secrets of Sarmizegetusa Regia. But even now, much about the site remains a mystery. One of the most intriguing aspects of the site is the presence of several large circular stone platforms, known as the sacred enclosures. These structures are thought to have been used for religious ceremonies, possibly connected to the worship of the Dacians' gods or their ancestors. The precise purpose of these enclosures remains unclear, but the scale and design suggest that they were central to the spiritual life of the Dacians. Some researchers believe that the enclosures were used for sacrifices or other rites, while others propose that they may have been part of a larger, more complex system for tracking celestial events. Could these platforms have been used to predict the changing seasons, or to mark the passage of time through the movements of the sun and stars? The city's alignment with celestial events is not limited to the sacred enclosures. Some researchers believe that Sarmizegetusa Regia may have been designed as a sort of astronomical calendar with certain structures positioned to align with the solstices and equinoxes. This theory is supported by the fact that the Dacians were known to have a deep connection with the natural world and the cycles of the earth. Their religion, centered around the worship of the sun, the moon, and the stars, suggests that the Dacians may have used the city's layout as a way to keep track of the passage of time and to mark important moments in the celestial calendar. Was Sarmizegetusa Regia, then, not just a political center, but a key piece in an ancient system of knowledge that connected the earth to the heavens? The city's defensive walls also raise intriguing questions about the Dacians' military strategy and their relationship with the Roman Empire. Despite their formidable fortifications and strategic location, the Dacians were ultimately defeated by the Romans, who left a lasting imprint on the region. Some historians have speculated that the fall of Sarmizegetusa Regia was not just a military conquest, but a symbolic victory, a triumph of Roman order over Dacian mysticism. The Romans, with their advanced technology and engineering, may have been able to breach the Dacian defenses, but did they fully understand the deeper spiritual significance of the city? Could the Romans have underestimated the power of the Dacian religion and the role it played in the kingdom's strength? One of the most tantalizing mysteries of Sarmizegetusa Regia lies in its connection to the Dacian Draco, the dragon-shaped standard carried by Dacian warriors. The Draco, thought to symbolize power, protection, and divine favor, was central to Dacian military and religious life. Some researchers believe that the Draco may have been a symbol of the sun or the stars, further connecting the city to celestial worship. Could the Dacians have believed that their victory over enemies was directly tied to their alignment with the heavens? Were the sacred enclosures and stone platforms part of a larger system that linked their battles and conquests to the movement of the stars? Despite the extensive research and exploration of Sarmizegetusa Regia, much about the site remains unexplained. The true purpose of its sacred structures, the meaning behind the Dacian Draco, and the significance of its celestial alignments are all still open to interpretation. What we do know is that this ancient city was a place of immense cultural, spiritual, and political power, a place where the Dacians sought to connect with their gods, to protect their kingdom, and to understand their place in the universe. As we leave the ruins of Sarmizegetusa Regia behind, we are reminded that there are still mysteries in the world that defy explanation. What secrets are hidden within the stones of this ancient city? And what knowledge was lost when it was abandoned? Were the Dacians truly connected to the stars, as some believe, or was their power rooted in something more grounded and earthly? And, perhaps most importantly, what other ancient civilizations, lost to time, have left us clues about the deeper truths of the world? Truths that remain just out of reach, waiting to be uncovered? As we leave behind the lofty mountain ruins of Sarmizegetusa Regia, we now turn our attention to another ancient site, one that rests quietly beneath the sun-drenched skies of Sardinia, Italy. Here, in the fertile plains near the town of Sassari, stands a remarkable and mysterious structure known as Monte de Codi. Though far less known than the Grand Pyramids or the megaliths of Stonehenge, Monte de Codi presents a different kind of enigma, a site that blends the familiar with the incomprehensible, where ancient rituals and the potential for long-forgotten knowledge collide. Monte de Codi is a massive stone structure, believed to have been constructed around 3000 BC during the Neolithic period, making it one of the oldest megalithic sites in Europe. At first glance, the site appears to be a simple mound, an imposing structure of earth and stone rising from the flat plains. Yet as you draw closer, the complexity of Monte de Codi becomes apparent. The structure itself is a stepped platform, built from large blocks of stone that have been carefully stacked to form a pyramid-like shape. At the top of this platform sits a small altar, its significance largely unknown, though it is thought to have been used for ritualistic purposes. What makes Monte de Codi truly captivating, however, is its distinct resemblance to a ziggurat, a type of step pyramid most commonly associated with the ancient civilizations of Mesopotamia. This resemblance raises several questions. How could a Neolithic society in Sardinia, isolated from the great empires of the ancient world, have constructed a monument so similar to those built in distant lands? Was there some form of cultural exchange, or could it be that the people of Sardinia possessed knowledge or symbolism that traveled through time and across continents? Or perhaps, as some have speculated, the resemblance is purely coincidental, the result of different cultures developing similar architectural solutions to spiritual or ceremonial needs. Could it be that the builders of Monte de Codi were simply following their own local traditions, influenced by their environment and their beliefs, rather than being directly connected to the civilizations of the Near East? The true purpose of Monte de Codi remains one of the greatest mysteries surrounding the site. Some scholars believe it served as a religious or ceremonial center, an altar where offerings were made to gods or spirits. The alignment of the structure and the presence of the altar suggest that the site had a ritualistic function, possibly linked to agricultural or fertility rites. Indeed, the agricultural significance of the area, with its fertile soil and favorable climate, may have played a role in shaping the spiritual practices of the people who built it. Was this site a place where the cycles of nature were honored, where the forces of the earth and sky were believed to interact in a sacred and powerful way? The altar at the top of the platform remains one of the most enigmatic features of Monte de Codi. Unlike the typical flat, horizontal altars found in other ancient sites, the altar here is located at the pinnacle of the structure, at the very top of the stepped platform. This suggests a deliberate effort to elevate the act of sacrifice or prayer to a higher realm. Could it have been believed that the closer one was to the heavens, the more likely they were to connect with the divine? Did the structure function as a symbolic pathway to the gods, with the act of climbing its steps representing a journey from the earthly realm to the divine? Or might the altar have had a more earthly function, serving as a marker for an important ceremonial occasion or festival, with the elevated position of the altar symbolizing the elevated status of the ritual itself? The site also holds a peculiar feature that sets it apart from other Neolithic structures: its alignment with the rising sun. On certain days of the year, the first rays of the morning sun align perfectly with the platform and its altar, illuminating it in a dramatic fashion. This suggests that the people who built Monte Decoti had an advanced understanding of astronomy and the movement of celestial bodies. Was this alignment purely symbolic, intended to mark important dates in the agricultural calendar? Or was it part of a larger, more complex system of celestial worship? The relationship between the structure and the rising sun has led some to suggest that the site may have been used to track the solstices or equinoxes, much like other ancient megalithic sites that align with key astronomical events. Despite the intriguing alignment and the suggestion of celestial connections, there is still much about the site that defies explanation. How could a Neolithic society in Sardinia, with its relatively isolated position in the Mediterranean, have constructed a monument so complex and advanced for its time? What inspired the builders to create a structure so similar to those found in distant Mesopotamia? Could it be that the builders of Monte Decoti were part of a larger network of cultures, sharing knowledge and symbolism across vast distances? Or were they working from their own indigenous traditions, developing their own distinct form of religious or ceremonial architecture? Theories abound about the origins and purpose of Monte Decoti, but none of them can provide a definitive answer. Some researchers argue that the site was part of a larger, now lost network of megalithic structures spread across the Mediterranean, suggesting that the island of Sardinia was a key point of contact between the great civilizations of the ancient world. Others believe that the structure was a unique creation, developed by a localized culture that had a deep understanding of architecture and cosmology, but was not influenced by other ancient civilizations. There are even those who speculate that the site may have been built by a civilization lost to history, whose knowledge and rituals have been erased over time. As with many ancient sites, the absence of written records makes it difficult to know for certain what purpose Monte Decoti served, or who its builders were. What we do know is that the structure stands as a testament to the creativity and ingenuity of the people who constructed it, people who, despite their apparent isolation, were capable of creating a monument that echoes the monumental structures of distant lands. Monte Decoti invites us to ask deeper questions about the origins of human civilization and the connections between seemingly disparate cultures. Was it merely a coincidence that two civilizations, separated by thousands of miles, constructed similar monumental structures? Or is there a deeper, unexplored connection, one that suggests shared knowledge, shared symbols, or even shared myths? And what other hidden monuments, buried beneath the earth or forgotten in time, might still wait to reveal their secrets, shedding light on the mysteries of our ancient past? As we leave behind the ancient rituals of Monte Decoti, we now journey to a hilltop town in central Italy, Alatri. Here, nestled within the foothills of the Apennines, stands a towering reminder of a civilization long gone but never forgotten, the Cyclopean walls of Alatri. This ancient fortification, which encircles the heart of the town, is a testament to the architectural mastery of the early Italic peoples. Yet it remains shrouded in mystery, its true origins and purpose a subject of enduring debate. The walls themselves are a remarkable feat of engineering. Comprised of massive stone blocks, some weighing several tons, they rise with an almost otherworldly precision. The stones are fit together without mortar, their edges so finely cut that not even the thinnest blade can slip between them. This method of construction, known as Cyclopean masonry, is thought to have been employed by early Italic cultures, particularly the ancient Volsci people who inhabited the area around 1000 BC. The sheer size and weight of the stones, along with their intricate placement, suggest a civilization with advanced architectural knowledge and engineering skills. What sets the Alatri Cyclopean walls apart from other megalithic structures, however, is their mysterious origin. While the Volsci are believed to have built the fortifications, some scholars argue that the site could be much older, possibly dating back to the early Iron Age or even earlier. The stones themselves show signs of weathering and erosion, making it difficult to pinpoint when they were first erected. Radiocarbon dating has yet to provide conclusive evidence, leaving us to wonder if the walls were built by an even older civilization, one whose knowledge and skills were lost to time. The purpose of these massive walls remains another unanswered question. At first glance, they appear to have been a defensive structure, designed to protect the city from invaders. This theory is supported by the fact that the walls encircle the entire town, with a series of gates and narrow passages that would have been easily defensible. Yet the scale and complexity of the walls suggest that they might have served a more symbolic purpose as well. Could they have been a representation of power, a way for the people of Alatri to assert their dominance over the surrounding landscape? Or was there a deeper, more spiritual meaning behind the construction? Some researchers have speculated that the walls might have been part of a ritualistic center, built to align with celestial events, or to mark important moments in the religious calendar. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Alatri Cyclopean walls is the presence of several unusual features, including a series of enigmatic carved symbols found on the stones. These symbols, which appear to be of an early Italic script, have been the subject of much debate. Some researchers believe that they were simply decorative, while others argue that they might represent a form of ancient writing or a code used by the people of Alatri. Could these symbols be a key to unlocking the mystery of the walls? Were they used for communication, or perhaps to mark specific locations within the city for ritual purposes? Adding to the mystery is the fact that the walls of Alatri do not follow a standard pattern of construction. Unlike other Cyclopean structures, where the stones are arranged in a more uniform manner, the walls of Alatri seem to have been built with a certain irregularity. The stones, though massive, vary in shape and size, and the layout of the walls is not symmetrical. Some sections appear to be much older than others, suggesting that the fortifications were added to or modified over time. This irregularity has led some to propose that the walls were not only built by the Volsci, but were also influenced by earlier cultures, perhaps even those who inhabited the region before the rise of the Italic peoples. Could this site have been a place of convergence for different cultures, each contributing their knowledge and craftsmanship to the construction of the walls? Another theory that has gained traction in recent years is the possibility that the Alatri Cyclopean walls were designed to have an astronomical or cosmological function. Some researchers point to the precise alignment of certain sections of the walls with the rising and setting sun, as well as the apparent correlation between the layout of the walls and the positions of celestial bodies. Could the walls have been built to mark solstices or equinoxes, or perhaps to track the movements of the stars? Was the construction of the walls tied to the spiritual beliefs of the people, serving as a physical manifestation of their connection to the cosmos? The idea that the ancient builders of Alatri may have had a deep understanding of astronomy is not far-fetched. Many early civilizations, including the Egyptians, Mayans, and Mesopotamians, are known to have developed complex systems of astronomical knowledge. Despite these theories, there is no definitive answer as to why the Alatri Cyclopean walls were built, or what their true purpose was. The lack of written records from the time of their construction makes it difficult to draw firm conclusions, and the enigmatic symbols on the stones provide more questions than answers. Were these symbols part of a lost language, a form of communication that has since been forgotten? Or were they purely symbolic, representing something much deeper, perhaps the very essence of the people's connection to the earth, the heavens, or their gods? What we do know is that the walls of Alatri, like many other ancient monuments, continue to provoke wonder and speculation. They stand as silent witnesses to a civilization that once thrived in this region, yet whose records and knowledge have been lost to time. The scale and precision of the construction, the irregularity of the stones, the mysterious carvings, all these features point to a people with a remarkable understanding of architecture, astronomy, and possibly even spiritual matters. As we walk along the ancient stones of Alatri, it becomes clear that this site is more than just a collection of walls. It is a symbol of humanity's eternal quest for meaning, knowledge, and connection. But the true purpose of the Cyclopean walls remains as elusive as ever. Were they built purely for defense, or were they a statement of power and belief? And if they were part of a larger, more cosmic design, what knowledge did the people of Alatri possess that we are only beginning to uncover? The mystery of Alatri remains unsolved, and as we leave the ancient walls behind, we are left with a sense of awe and curiosity. What other secrets lie hidden beneath the stones, waiting to be discovered? What knowledge has been lost, waiting for the right moment to emerge from the past? And perhaps most importantly, what can we learn from the builders of Alatri, whose legacy still stands as a testament to the enduring mysteries of ancient civilizations? As we leave behind the ancient fortifications of Alatri, we now turn our gaze to another mysterious location, one that lies in the heart of the Mediterranean, in the small island nation of Malta. Here, among the windswept cliffs and sun-drenched landscapes, a peculiar and ancient feature stretches across the terrain, an enigmatic series of cart ruts found near the temples of Rakhigarhi. These deep, parallel grooves etched into the stone have long confounded archaeologists and visitors alike. What could have caused such precise, linear indentations? And more intriguingly, what purpose did they serve in a time long before modern transportation? The cart ruts of Rakhigarhi, which snake across the rocky terrain like the tracks of some ancient vehicle, are a striking sight. Some of the ruts are more than a foot deep, while others stretch for hundreds of meters, etched into the rock with an almost eerie regularity. The cart ruts are most concentrated near the megalithic temples of Rakhigarhi and Manajra, dating back to around 3000 BC. These temples, with their massive stone blocks and intricate design, were once centers of worship and ritual, standing as some of the oldest freestanding structures in the world. But the cart ruts, those mysterious grooves in the earth, seem to be something entirely different. They appear to have no clear connection to the temples themselves, and yet they run parallel to them in a way that suggests they were part of the larger sacred landscape. At first glance, the cart ruts seem straightforward enough. They were created by the passage of wheeled vehicles, most likely chariots or carts used to transport goods or people. This would align with the standard theory that these ruts were once part of a network of ancient roads or trade routes, built to facilitate movement across the island. Yet, the mystery deepens when we consider the fact that the ruts appear to have been carved directly into the bedrock, rock so hard that it seems unlikely that simple wheels could have left such deep impressions. Were these ruts really caused by ancient carts, or is there something else at work here? In fact, some scholars have raised doubts about the idea that these cart ruts were created by vehicles at all. The precise and consistent parallel lines, often too deep and too narrow to fit traditional wheels, have led some to speculate that they might have been carved by something entirely different, such as some form of ritualistic or ceremonial practice. Could the ruts have been part of an ancient religious or agricultural calendar, marking the passage of seasons or aligning with celestial events? Perhaps the ruts were used in a ritualistic manner, with people dragging offerings or performing sacred rites along the grooves as part of an elaborate ceremony. The alignment of the ruts with nearby temples that themselves are thought to have been used for astronomical observations, suggests that the cart ruts might have been created with some form of astronomical or cosmic significance in mind. In addition to the questions surrounding their purpose, the cart ruts of Rakhigarhi also raise intriguing questions about their construction. The sheer scale of the ruts, some stretching for miles across the rocky landscape, suggests a level of engineering and coordination that goes beyond what we would expect from a small, isolated society. Were the people of Malta simply incredibly skilled craftsmen, able to carve such precise and deep grooves into solid rock using basic tools, or was there some hidden knowledge or advanced technology involved? Some fringe theories have even suggested that the cart ruts might be evidence of an ancient, lost civilization with knowledge of engineering that was lost to history. Could the ruts have been created by a people who possessed technology beyond what we typically associate with the Neolithic period? Or is it possible that there is an even more ancient civilization whose existence is yet to be uncovered? One of the most puzzling aspects of the ruts is their apparent randomness in their placement. While some ruts run parallel in a straight line, others curve unpredictably or seem to split into multiple paths, making it difficult to discern any logical pattern. Were the ruts intended to form a network of roads, or were they meant for something else entirely? The presence of these irregularities has led some to theorize that the ruts could have served as a sort of ritualistic or sacred pathway, with their meandering nature symbolizing a journey or pilgrimage, much like the winding paths found in other ancient religious sites around the world. As if all this were not enough, the dating of the cart ruts has added another layer of mystery to the site. While the temples of Rakhigarhi and Manasdra are well established as being constructed around 3000 BC, the cart ruts themselves are much harder to date with any certainty. Some researchers have suggested that the ruts could be older, perhaps dating back as far as 5000 BC, while others believe they may have been carved much later. The ambiguity of the dating only deepens the mystery. Were the ruts built by the same civilization that constructed the temples, or were they created by a separate, unknown culture that preceded or followed them? The possibility that these ruts could have been in use for thousands of years, continuously shaped and maintained over generations, raises the question of whether they served a function that was essential to the people of Malta for a much longer period of time than we might expect. Interestingly, some researchers have pointed out the similarities between the Rakhigarhi cart ruts and similar ruts found on other islands in the Mediterranean. From Sicily to the Balearic Islands, there are other examples of cart-like ruts carved into the rock, suggesting that the idea of creating such pathways may have been widespread across the ancient Mediterranean world. Could these ruts be part of a broader network of megalithic constructions, linked not by function, but by shared symbolism or knowledge? And if so, what were these ancient peoples trying to achieve with such a widespread, enigmatic feature? Despite decades of research and study, the true purpose of the Rakhigarhi cart ruts remains unsolved. Were they a utilitarian road system designed for practical purposes, or were they imbued with deeper, more mystical significance? Could they be a symbol of cosmic alignment, or perhaps part of an even older ritualistic landscape? And what tools or techniques were used to carve these grooves into such hard rock with such precision? As we stand before these mysterious ruts, etched into the stone beneath the Maltese sun, we are reminded that there is still so much about the ancient world that remains hidden. What other mysteries lie buried in the earth, waiting to be uncovered? And what ancient knowledge, lost to time, might yet be revealed, if only we continue to search for the answers? As we journey from the ancient cart ruts of Rakhigarhi, We now turn our attention to a remote and lesser-known site, one that lies in the arid landscape of northern Kenya, the Lothagam North Pillar Site. Here, among the vast savannas and low, jagged hills, a collection of standing stones rises from the earth, surrounded by a sense of quiet mystery. These stones, weathered by centuries of wind and sun, form a series of carefully arranged pillars that have left archaeologists and historians puzzled for decades. The site itself is stark and unassuming, nestled on the edge of a rocky outcrop with sweeping views of the surrounding landscape. At first glance, the Lothagam North Pillar Site might appear to be little more than a collection of weathered stone markers, but as you draw closer, the precision of the arrangement becomes apparent. The pillars, which vary in size, some standing over 2 meters tall, are arranged in a way that suggests deliberate intent. They form a complex pattern, with some rows stretching across the flat terrain and others positioned in more irregular formations. The stones are made of local sandstone, their surfaces pocked and eroded by time, but they retain an undeniable sense of purpose. Radiocarbon dating places the construction of the site around 3000 BC, placing it in the early stages of the Neolithic period. However, the exact purpose of the pillars remains unclear. Were they erected for ceremonial or religious purposes, as is common with many ancient stone monuments? Or did they serve a more practical function, perhaps as markers of territory or navigational aids for the ancient peoples who once inhabited this area? What is certain is that the pillars represent a culture with a sophisticated understanding of stoneworking and an ability to organize and construct monumental structures, qualities that are often associated with more advanced civilizations, yet there is no definitive historical record of the people who created them. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Lothagam North Pillar Site is its connection to the surrounding environment. The site is located in an area that was once more fertile and well-watered, a land that would have been prime for settlement and agriculture. The positioning of the pillars, along with the remains of nearby habitation sites, suggests that this was once an area of great significance to the people who lived here. Some believe that the pillars were erected as part of a ritualistic or religious practice, possibly to mark the changing seasons, the passage of time, or the alignment of the stars. Their strategic positioning and alignment with the surrounding landscape have led some to draw comparisons with other ancient stone monuments, such as the standing stones of Stonehenge or the megalithic circles of the British Isles. Could the pillars at Lothagam have been part of a larger, yet-to-be-discovered network of ancient stone structures, all of which were connected by a shared belief system or ritual? The idea of a widespread ancient culture using stone monuments to communicate with the heavens or mark celestial events is not a new one. Many ancient civilizations around the world, from the Egyptians to the Mayans, constructed elaborate stone structures that aligned with solar and lunar events. Could the Lothagam pillars have served a similar purpose, marking important astronomical phenomena such as the solstices or equinoxes? Yet, there is also the possibility that the pillars had a more grounded, practical purpose. Some researchers believe that the site might have been used as a kind of territorial marker, with the standing stones serving to define the boundaries of a particular clan or community. The idea that the pillars were part of a larger social or political system is supported by the fact that the site is surrounded by evidence of human habitation, including stone tools, pottery shards, and the remains of ancient dwellings. Could the pillars have represented a symbol of power, marking the territory of a powerful leader or ruling group? Or perhaps, were they used to demarcate important trade routes or paths, guiding travelers across the vast and often treacherous terrain of the East African savanna? Adding to the mystery is the fact that the pillars themselves do not appear to have been used for any kind of practical purpose, such as for supporting structures or forming walls. They seem to stand as solitary sentinels, spaced at regular intervals across the landscape. This absence of functional use has led some to suggest that the pillars were meant to convey a deeper meaning, perhaps a connection to the spiritual world or to the ancestors. Were these stones placed to honor the spirits of the land, or perhaps to invoke the favor of gods or deities who were believed to dwell in the natural world? The idea that the site may have had a ritualistic function is reinforced by the discovery of animal bones and offerings near the pillars, suggesting that they may have been a focal point for sacrifices or other sacred practices. Despite these theories, the true purpose of the Lothagam North Pillar site remains a matter of debate. Was it a religious or ceremonial center, a place of social or political significance, or a site of astronomical importance? The lack of written records and the scarcity of direct evidence about the people who created the site leave us with more questions than answers. The absence of comparable structures in the region further complicates the mystery, as does the fact that the surrounding cultures and settlements do not appear to have had the same level of stoneworking skill or monumental architecture. The question of who built the Lothagam pillars is equally elusive. Unlike other ancient sites, such as the megalithic circles of Europe, there is no clear record of a specific civilization or culture responsible for the construction of these stones. Some believe that the builders were early pastoralists or hunter-gatherers who possessed a deep understanding of the natural world and sought to reflect that understanding in their architecture. Others speculate that the pillars were erected by a more advanced society that may have once inhabited the region but left no trace of their civilization beyond these stones. In the end, the Lothagam North Pillar site is a quiet reminder of how much is still unknown about the ancient world. These weathered stones, standing solitary and proud against the vast African sky, continue to raise questions that remain unanswered. What knowledge, what rituals, what beliefs drove the people to create such an enigmatic site? Was it a spiritual center, a territorial marker, or something far more complex? And, perhaps most intriguing of all, what other hidden wonders lie waiting to be discovered, buried beneath the sands of time? As we leave the Lothagam pillars behind, we are left with an open question, one that invites us to continue seeking, to delve deeper into the mysteries of the past. What secrets are still hidden in the land, waiting for someone to uncover them? As we leave behind the enigmatic pillars of Lothagam, our journey now takes us to the windswept shores of the Orkney Islands in northern Scotland, where another ancient mystery waits to be explored: the Ness of Brodgar. Nestled between two freshwater lochs, this site is one of the most significant archaeological discoveries in Europe, offering a rare glimpse into a long-forgotten civilization that flourished more than 5,000 years ago. The massive stone walls of the Ness of Brodgar rise from the earth like a monument to a time and people lost to history, their purpose still shrouded in mystery. The site is an expansive complex of stone structures, walls, and enclosures stretching over several acres of land. Archaeologists have uncovered a wealth of material evidence here, including intricate carvings, finely crafted pottery, and remnants of a once thriving community. But it is the sheer scale and complexity of the construction that truly captivates. The walls, constructed of large, flat stones, are meticulously laid, and many rise to impressive heights. Some of the walls appear to have been part of larger interconnected buildings, while others form open courtyards or smaller enclosures. What stands out most about these structures is their precision, an indication that the people who built them had a sophisticated understanding of architecture and engineering. The Ness of Brodgar is thought to have been a ceremonial and religious center, a hub of activity in the ancient world. Radiocarbon dating places the construction of the site between 3,500 and 2,300 BC, making it contemporaneous with other megalithic sites like Stonehenge and the Great Stone Circles of the British Isles. Yet, unlike these more familiar monuments, The purpose of the Ness of Brodgar remains unclear. Was it a place of worship, a ritual center, or perhaps a political gathering place? The lack of written records leaves us to piece together the site's function from the physical remains left behind. Among the most intriguing features of the Ness of Brodgar are the large stone slabs that have been found within the structures. Some of these slabs are decorated with intricate carvings, spirals, geometric shapes, and abstract patterns that suggest a deep connection to the spiritual world. Could these carvings represent symbols of divine power or perhaps a form of early writing? Were the walls and enclosures designed to create an atmosphere of reverence, to focus the mind on the mysteries of the cosmos or the forces of nature? One of the most captivating aspects of the site is its connection to the surrounding landscape. The positioning of the Ness of Brodgar seems deliberate, as if the builders were consciously aligning their structures with the natural world. The site is situated in such a way that it commands views of the surrounding hills, lochs, and sea, suggesting that it was not only an architectural marvel, but also a place that symbolized the relationship between humanity and the land. Could the site have been a place for observing celestial events, such as the solstices or lunar cycles? The possibility that the builders of the Ness of Brodgar had a keen understanding of astronomy and used the site for ritualistic purposes connected to the heavens is supported by the alignment of some of the structures with the rising and setting of the sun. While many scholars agree that the Ness of Brodgar was a ceremonial center, the purpose of the site remains a point of debate. Some researchers have speculated that it was a pilgrimage site, drawing people from all over the islands to partake in religious rituals or celebrations. Others suggest that it may have functioned as a political or social hub, a place where leaders or chieftains gathered to make decisions and build alliances. The fact that the site appears to have been in use for several centuries, from its construction to its eventual abandonment, further complicates the mystery. What drove the people of this ancient society to invest so much time and energy into the creation of such a monumental space, only to leave it behind centuries later? Was it a sudden collapse of society? Or did the purpose of the site simply fade as new social and religious practices emerged? Adding to the intrigue is the evidence of a highly structured society that may have inhabited the Ness of Brodgar. Archaeologists have uncovered tools, pottery, and evidence of animal and human activity within the structures, suggesting that this was once a bustling center of life. The discovery of large quantities of animal bones, including those of cattle, sheep, and pigs, indicates that the people of the Ness of Brodgar relied heavily on animal husbandry and possibly engaged in feasts or sacrifices as part of their rituals. Some researchers have even suggested that the site may have been involved in a complex system of trade, with goods and materials being exchanged between communities across the islands. Yet, despite the wealth of material evidence, many questions remain unanswered. Who were the people who built the Ness of Brodgar, and what did they believe? Were they part of a larger network of interconnected cultures, or was the site a product of a unique and isolated civilization? And why did the site eventually fall into disuse and abandonment, leaving only its ruins to puzzle future generations? The sheer scale and ambition of the Ness of Brodgar invite further speculation. Could the site have been part of a larger ritualistic landscape, with other stone circles, tombs, and enclosures scattered across the islands, forming a network of sacred spaces linked by shared beliefs and practices? Some scholars have proposed that the site was part of an ancient religion centered around the worship of the sun, moon, and stars, with the stone structures serving as markers of celestial events or divine power. Others have suggested that the site was connected to the changing seasons, with its layout and construction reflecting the cycles of the earth, the sun, and the moon. While the answers to these questions remain elusive, the Ness of Brodgar stands as a testament to the ingenuity and spirituality of the people who built it. The site's precision, its alignment with the natural world, and its connection to the celestial realm suggest a culture with a deep understanding of both the earth and the heavens, a culture whose mysteries are still waiting to be unraveled. As we leave the towering walls of the Ness of Brodgar behind, we are left with a profound sense of wonder and curiosity. What secrets still lie buried beneath the stones of this ancient site, and what knowledge has been lost to time? Could the people of the Ness of Brodgar have known things that we have yet to discover? And, as with so many ancient civilizations, what other mysteries remain hidden, waiting for the right moment to emerge from the shadows of history? From the hallowed grounds of the Ness of Brodgar, we now find ourselves in the sunlit embrace of Crete, an island at the crossroads of ancient Mediterranean civilizations. Here, nestled at the foot of Mount Juctus, lies one of the most puzzling and intriguing archaeological sites of the Minoan civilization, the Anamospilia Temple. Unassuming at first glance, the site hides beneath its surface a story of ritual, sacrifice, and perhaps even tragedy. A narrative that has remained buried for over 3,000 years, waiting to be uncovered by the hand of time. The Anamospilia Temple, dating back to around 1450 BC, was discovered in the early 1970s by archaeologist Joseph A. McGillivray. It is situated in the foothills of the mountain, overlooking a breathtaking view of the surrounding valleys and the Cretan Sea. The site itself is relatively small, a modest structure compared to the grand palaces of Knossos or Phaistos. Yet, it is precisely its simplicity that makes it so enigmatic. The temple, made from local limestone, consists of a single, open-air courtyard with a central altar. Surrounding the altar are several stone benches, possibly used for seating or as supports for sacrificial offerings. At the heart of the temple lies a stone slab, where it is believed that rituals of significant spiritual and cultural importance were carried out. What makes the Anamospilia Temple so remarkable, however, is not its architecture, but rather the eerie and unsettling discovery made during its excavation. Beneath the stone slab, a human skeleton was uncovered, a sacrificial victim who appeared to have been ritually killed during a religious ceremony. This discovery sent shockwaves through the archaeological community. While human sacrifice was not unknown in the ancient world, particularly in religious contexts, the manner in which the individual was positioned suggested something deeply significant about the temple's function. The body, a young male, was found with a knife wound to the chest, lying near the altar in a pose that indicated he had been part of a ritual. This raised more questions than it answered. Was this sacrifice voluntary, part of a religious offering, or was it a victim of some kind of divine appeasement? To understand the significance of this discovery, it is crucial to consider the broader context of the Minoan civilization. The Minoans, who flourished on Crete from around 2000 BC to 1450 BC, were known for their advanced knowledge of architecture, art, and trade, as well as their deeply religious society. They constructed elaborate palaces, such as those at Knossos, where religious ceremonies and festivals were likely held in grand halls. The Minoans worshipped a range of deities, including nature gods and goddesses, and many of their temples and shrines were dedicated to these divine figures. Yet, little is known about the specifics of their religious practices, as the Minoans left no written records to explain the meaning of their rituals. The discovery at Anamospilia, however, offers a glimpse into the darker side of their spirituality. The placement of the sacrificial victim has led some to suggest that the Anamospilia Temple was not just a place of worship, but also a site of human sacrifice. This idea is further supported by the discovery of other bones, including the remains of animals that were also likely part of the ritualistic practices. The victim's position, along with the presence of ceremonial tools, suggests that the sacrifice was part of a larger ritual designed to appease or honor the gods. Was this a form of divine intervention, an attempt to ensure agricultural prosperity or victory in battle? Or was it a desperate act, a way to influence forces beyond human control in times of crisis? The timing of the sacrifice also adds to the intrigue. Radiocarbon dating suggests that the temple was in use during the final stages of the Minoan civilization, around the time when Crete was experiencing significant upheaval and turmoil. The destruction of the Minoan palaces in the late 15th century BC, likely caused by a combination of internal conflict and external invasion, may have led to changes in religious practices. Could the Anamospilia temple have been a site where such sacrifices were performed as a last-ditch effort to appease the gods in the face of disaster? Was the victim in question a symbol of a failed offering, someone chosen to die to restore balance to a world falling apart? The idea of human sacrifice as a desperate measure in times of great stress is not a new one, and it would not be surprising if the Minoans, like other ancient cultures, turned to such practices in moments of crisis. As researchers delve deeper into the mysteries of the Anamospilia temple, the questions surrounding its true function continue to grow. Some have argued that the site was not a dedicated temple at all, but rather a small, private shrine used by a single family or cult. The lack of grand architectural features or evidence of large-scale worship could suggest that the temple was a more intimate space for personal or local religious practices. This theory is supported by the relatively small size of the site and the absence of any large public ceremonies or gatherings. Yet, the presence of a sacrificial altar and the ritualistic aspects of the site suggest that it was still an important place of spiritual significance, even if it was not on the same scale as the palaces and temples of Knossos or other major centers of Minoan power. Another mystery that persists is the identity of the victim. While the skeleton is believed to belong to a young male, there is little information about who he might have been. Was he a volunteer, perhaps a priest or chosen individual offering himself for the good of the community? Or was he a prisoner or slave, taken from another place as part of a ritual sacrifice? The lack of evidence regarding his identity only deepens the mystery. Was this a person who willingly gave his life, or was it an act of brutality carried out in the name of the gods? The Anamospilia temple also raises important questions about the nature of Minoan religious practices. The fact that such a practice took place in a small, secluded temple rather than a grand public space suggests that there may have been multiple layers of religious and spiritual life in ancient Crete. Perhaps the more well-known temples and palaces served as spaces for state-sponsored rituals, while smaller, hidden sites like Anamospilia held more private and secretive ceremonies. If this is true, it would suggest that the Minoans had a complex and nuanced understanding of the divine, one that incorporated both public and private worship, as well as more personal forms of sacrifice and devotion. Even today, the purpose of the Anamospilia temple remains an unsolved enigma. Was it a site of ceremonial sacrifice, a place where life was offered to appease the gods? Or was it a more mundane structure, a small temple of personal devotion where an isolated tragedy occurred? As archaeologists continue to study the site, new discoveries may yet shed light on its true purpose and the significance of the ritual that took place there. Until then, we are left with only the haunting remnants of a dark and mysterious past, a reminder of the complex and sometimes troubling nature of ancient belief systems. As we leave the Anamospilia temple behind, the questions linger. What drove the Minoans to carry out such rituals? Was the sacrifice a symbol of faith or a desperate attempt to change fate? And what other secrets might lie hidden in the temples and ruins of ancient Crete, waiting to be uncovered by those who dare to look? As we leave behind the ancient rituals of Anamospilia, we now journey to a remote corner of the Caucasus, where an ancient site known as Zorat's Karer, often called the Armenian Stonehenge, awaits. Located on the rocky plains of Armenia, near the town of Sicín, this megalithic structure has stood for millennia, its purpose still an enigma. Unlike the familiar stone circles of Europe, Zoratzcarrer is not a simple ring of stones. It is a sprawling complex, an intricate arrangement of large stones, some upright and others lying flat, scattered across a vast area of land. As you approach the sight of these towering stones against the backdrop of the rugged, arid landscape is both awe-inspiring and unsettling, as though they have been placed with deliberate care, their true meaning hidden from modern eyes. Zoratzcarrer consists of more than 200 stones, many of which are decorated with circular depressions or holes. These features, known as carvings or cup marks, are found on some of the stones and appear to have been deliberately shaped into the rock. These cup marks, sometimes arranged in patterns, are one of the key characteristics that make Zoratzcarrer so distinctive. But what do these marks mean? Are they purely decorative, or do they hold a deeper symbolic significance? Some of the stones are set in regular patterns, while others are scattered haphazardly, as though they were placed in a configuration that has long been forgotten. And then there are the massive stone slabs, which seem to serve as markers or alignments, though their true purpose remains a matter of speculation. The most intriguing aspect of Zoratzcarrer, however, is its alignment with celestial bodies. The arrangement of the stones and their placement on the landscape suggests that the site was used for astronomical observation. Some of the stones are positioned in such a way that they align with the rising and setting of the sun, the moon, and even specific stars. This astronomical connection has led many to theorize that Zoratzcarrer was not simply a site of ceremonial or religious significance, but a complex observatory, a place where ancient peoples could track the movements of the heavens and interpret their significance. Was it a place for mapping the stars, marking the solstices, or following the cycles of the moon? The positioning of the stones, particularly the large ones with circular depressions, seems to suggest an awareness of astronomical events far beyond the capabilities of most ancient societies. Zoratzcarrer is believed to have been constructed around 2500 BC, during a time when the people of the Caucasus were already highly skilled in stoneworking and engineering. Yet, despite this relatively early date, there is no clear understanding of who built the site. Some scholars believe that the site was constructed by the early Armenians, or one of the various ancient cultures that inhabited the region. Others have suggested that it was the work of a more ancient civilization, perhaps one that was lost to history. The fact that there are no written records to explain the purpose of Zoratzcarrer only adds to the sense of mystery that surrounds it. It stands as a silent witness to an unknown past, its stones bearing the weight of secrets that have been passed down through generations. The connection between Zoratzcarrer and other ancient astronomical sites is undeniable. The stone circles of the British Isles, the Great Pyramids of Egypt, and the megalithic sites of the Near East all share a common thread: a fascination with the heavens and the belief that the movements of celestial bodies could hold the key to understanding the universe. Zoratzcarrer, with its intricate arrangements and astronomical alignments, seems to echo this ancient desire to connect with the cosmos. Could it have been a place where ancient peoples sought to commune with the gods? Or was it simply a tool for tracking time and seasons? And if the site was indeed used for astronomical purposes, what knowledge did its builders possess that has been lost to us? Yet, the mystery deepens when we consider the question of why such a large and sophisticated site was built in the first place. Zoratzcarrer is not the only megalithic site in the region. There are several other ancient stone structures in Armenia and surrounding areas, but it is by far the most complex and well-preserved. What was it about this specific location that made it so important? Some researchers have suggested that Zoratzcarrer may have been a place of pilgrimage or religious significance, a place where ancient people gathered to perform rituals or make offerings to the gods. The alignment with the stars and celestial bodies could indicate that the site was used to mark important dates in the agricultural or ritual calendar, such as the solstices or equinoxes. Were these events celebrated with feasts, sacrifices, or other ceremonies? Was Zoratkar a place where people sought to align themselves with the divine, or was it a more mundane observatory, created solely for the practical purpose of measuring time and tracking the seasons? Some of the more fringe theories surrounding Zoratkar suggest that the site may have been more than just an observatory or religious center. Could it have been a place where ancient knowledge was passed down from one generation to the next, a repository of secret wisdom that was never meant to be understood by outsiders? Some speculate that the circular depressions on the stones might represent a form of ancient writing or code, a system of symbols that was used to record astronomical events or convey mystical knowledge. Others believe that the site might have had a more mystical or spiritual purpose, a place where shamans or priests could commune with the gods through the medium of the stars. Theories of this nature are highly speculative, but they raise an intriguing question. What might Zoratkar have represented to the people who built it? As we look closer at the site, another compelling question emerges. Who were the builders of Zoratkar, and what motivated them to create such an impressive and mysterious structure? The people of ancient Armenia were certainly skilled in stoneworking, and evidence suggests that they were part of a broader network of cultures that traded goods and knowledge across the ancient world. Could Zoratkar have been part of a wider cultural exchange, a place where knowledge of astronomy and the stars was shared across regions? Or was it the work of a solitary culture with its own distinct beliefs and practices that sought to understand the cosmos in ways that remain mysterious to us? Despite decades of research and excavation, the true purpose of Zoratkar remains elusive. Some scholars have argued that it was a religious site, while others believe it was an astronomical observatory or even a center for social and political gatherings. The exact function of the stone depressions and the alignment of the stones with the stars continue to spark debate. What we do know is that Zoratkar represents one of the most intriguing and mysterious archaeological sites in the world, a place where the past and the cosmos seem to converge in ways that we are only beginning to understand. As we leave the ancient stones of Zoratkar behind, we are reminded of how much of our history remains shrouded in mystery. What secrets lie hidden beneath the stones, waiting for us to uncover them? What knowledge did the builders of Zoratkar possess that was lost to time? And perhaps most haunting of all, what other ancient sites remain, waiting to be discovered, their mysteries still locked in the earth, waiting for us to uncover their truths? As we move from the ancient astronomical stones of Zoratkar, we now turn our attention to another enigmatic site, deep in the heart of Colombia, San Agustin Archaeological Park. Tucked within the lush landscapes of the Andes, this UNESCO World Heritage Site is home to some of the most astonishing and mysterious monuments in the Americas. Here, amidst the rolling hills and dense forests, a series of massive stone statues and burial mounds stand silently, holding secrets that have baffled archaeologists and researchers for decades. San Agustin Archaeological Park is a sprawling complex of ancient tombs, statues, and megalithic structures, many of which date back to around 1000 BC to 1000 AD, though the site's origins remain unclear. The park covers approximately 50 square kilometers, and throughout this vast area you will find over 500 statues, many of which are carved from volcanic rock. These statues vary in size and shape, but they share certain common features. Most are anthropomorphic, depicting human figures, some with exaggerated facial features, others with animalistic attributes, while a few represent supernatural beings. Their eyes are often large and unblinking, staring out into the landscape as though they are forever guarding the land. The most iconic feature of San Agustin is the Alto de los Ídolos, Hill of the Idols, where the largest and most intricate statues can be found. These imposing figures stand in rows, often near burial sites, lending the area a solemn, almost sacred atmosphere. The carved figures range from human heads to elaborate animal forms, and some statues have what appear to be intricate headdresses, ceremonial attire, or facial tattoos. The purpose of these statues is still debated. Were they gods, ancestors, or representations of the spiritual world? The larger-than-life figures suggest a culture with a deep belief in the power of the supernatural, but the precise religious or social context of these figures remains elusive. While the statues themselves are awe-inspiring, what really sets San Agustin apart is the sheer number of burial mounds scattered throughout the park. Some of these mounds are large and circular, while others are elongated, often covering multiple tombs. Inside these mounds, archaeologists have uncovered a wealth of burial offerings, ceramics, stone tools, jewelry, and the remains of sacrificial victims. The graves seem to have been reserved for the elites of this ancient society, indicating that San Agustin was not simply a site of burial, but also a ceremonial center where the living and the dead coexisted in a ritualized space. Was this place the heart of a once thriving civilization, or a sacred burial ground for a select few? Among the more compelling aspects of San Agustin is its connection to water. Several of the statues are positioned around what appear to be water sources, and there are intricate channels carved into the stone that suggest a deliberate design centered around the flow of water. Water, in many ancient cultures, was a symbol of life and death, of transition between the living world and the spirit realm. Could these statues and their placements near water have been part of rituals associated with death and rebirth? Some theorize that the statues represent guides or guardians of the afterlife, watching over the spirits of the deceased as they journeyed into the unknown. The mystery deepens when we consider the people who created these statues. Despite the site's grandeur and importance, very little is known about the civilization that built it. The culture that constructed San Agustin is generally attributed to the Agustinianos, or the San Agustin culture, but there is still no definitive answer as to which group of people inhabited the area. Who were they? What did they believe? And why did they leave behind such a complex and enigmatic site? The lack of written records means that the origin of the statues and their meaning is largely open to interpretation. Many of the statues and carvings at San Agustin appear to depict gods, spirits, and figures with a deep connection to the natural world. But without clear textual evidence, any interpretation remains speculative. Were the figures carved to honor deities, ancestors, or powerful rulers? Or could they have represented spiritual guides linked to the forces of nature, earth, water, and sky? In addition to the anthropomorphic statues, there are also representations of animals, some of which are believed to be symbolic. A jaguar, for example, is often seen as a symbol of power, while the serpent may have represented transformation or the passage between life and death. Could these figures have been part of a larger cosmological system, a representation of a culture's understanding of the universe and their place within it? One of the most puzzling elements of San Agustin is its alignment with astronomical events. Some researchers have suggested that the statues and the burial mounds were aligned with the stars, the movements of the sun, and even the phases of the moon. The large stone structures and ceremonial spaces seem to have been constructed with an awareness of celestial bodies, but the exact astronomical function of the site remains unclear. Was San Agustin an early observatory, designed to track the movements of the heavens? Or was it a ceremonial landscape where the alignment of statues and mounds had a symbolic or spiritual meaning linked to the cyclical nature of life and death? The possibility that the Agustinianos had a sophisticated understanding of astronomy, much like other ancient civilizations such as the Egyptians or Mayans, is tantalizing, but remains speculative without more concrete evidence. Adding to the intrigue are the theories suggesting that the Agustinianos had contact with other ancient civilizations, perhaps through trade or migration. Some believe that the site may have been influenced by neighboring Andean cultures, while others propose that the stone carvings and monumental architecture were inspired by even older, forgotten traditions. Was San Agustin built by an isolated civilization with its own unique beliefs? Or did it represent a convergence of ideas and practices from different parts of the ancient world? The similarities between the statues at San Agustin and other megalithic sites, such as those found in Egypt and the Near East, suggest that the ancient builders of this site may have been part of a larger network of cultures, exchanging knowledge and spiritual practices over vast distances. Despite the many theories, the true meaning of San Agustin remains elusive. The site was abandoned by its creators long before the arrival of the Spanish, and its purpose may have been lost to history. The unanswered questions surrounding the site, who built it, why they built it, and what role the statues and tombs played in their society, continue to haunt us. Could the site have been a place of initiation, where powerful rituals took place? Or was it a sacred space dedicated to the gods, where the dead were honored and the living sought guidance? Perhaps the answer lies somewhere between the worlds of the living and the dead, in the rituals and beliefs of a long-forgotten civilization. As we step away from the towering stone statues and the silence of the burial mounds, we are reminded that even in the modern age, many ancient mysteries remain unresolved. What was San Agustin to those who built it? Was it a city of gods, a place of power, or something more deeply spiritual, an expression of humanity's eternal quest to understand life, death, and the cosmos? And as the statues continue to gaze silently over the landscape, we are left to wonder, what other secrets does San Agustin still hold, buried beneath the stone and soil, waiting to be uncovered? As the sun sets over the Mediterranean, we shift our focus from the towering statues of San Agustin to a quieter, yet equally intriguing site located on the island of Cyprus, Kyrokitia. Here, nestled within the rolling hills of the Cypriot countryside, lies a well-preserved Neolithic settlement that offers a window into a civilization that lived nearly 7,000 years ago. The stone houses of Kyrokitia stand in striking contrast to the natural landscape, their circular walls and stone foundations evoking a sense of timelessness, as though the past has been quietly preserved in the heart of the island. Kyrokitia is one of the most important archaeological sites on Cyprus and provides one of the clearest glimpses into the island's prehistoric past. The settlement, which dates back to around 7000 BC, was first discovered in the 1930s, but it wasn't until the 1970s that systematic excavations began. The site is unique not only because of its age, but also due to its level of preservation. Many of the stone structures, particularly the circular dwellings, are still standing to this day, offering a rare opportunity to study the architectural style of a people who lived long before the rise of written language or complex urban societies. The settlement at Kyrokitia is organized in a series of concentric circles, with the houses arranged in a tightly knit pattern, encircling a central area. The houses themselves are built with large stones and are topped with a roof structure made of thatch, though no traces of the original roofs remain. The dwellings vary in size, with the largest houses likely serving as the homes of more prominent members of the community. Some of the buildings are thought to have been communal spaces, perhaps used for gathering, trading, or religious activities. The organization of the settlement suggests a society that was highly structured, with a clear division of labor and a focus on cooperation and social cohesion. Despite its simplicity, the architecture of Kyrokitia raises many questions. Why did the inhabitants of this ancient settlement build their homes in such a distinctive circular pattern? Was there a symbolic or religious significance to the layout, or was it simply a practical solution to the challenges of living in a rocky, uneven landscape? Some researchers believe that the circular arrangement of the homes was meant to foster a sense of community, bringing people together in a way that emphasized collective living and shared responsibility. Others suggest that the layout may have been an expression of a deeper spiritual or cosmological belief system, with the circle symbolizing the cycles of life, death, and renewal. Could the central area of the settlement have been a space reserved for ceremonies or gatherings, where the community came together to mark important events? Beyond the houses, the settlement at Kirokitia also reveals intriguing evidence of a complex economy and a sophisticated understanding of resources. The people of Kirokitia were primarily agriculturalists, growing crops such as wheat, barley, and lentils, and they also raised animals, including goats and sheep. However, the site also shows evidence of trade, with materials such as obsidian and flint being brought to the settlement from distant parts of the island. This suggests that Kirokitia was not an isolated community, but part of a larger network of settlements across Cyprus, where goods, ideas, and technologies were exchanged. Could the people of Kirokitia have been connected to other ancient cultures across the Mediterranean, exchanging not just goods but knowledge as well? The possibility of early trade routes and cultural exchange across the region adds another layer of intrigue to the story of Kirokitia. The inhabitants of Kirokitia also had a rich material culture, as evidenced by the many artifacts uncovered during excavations. Pottery, tools, and figurines have been found in abundance, providing a glimpse into the daily life of the settlement. Many of the pottery pieces are finely made and decorated with geometric patterns, suggesting a highly developed craft tradition. There are also numerous figurines, some of which appear to represent human figures, while others depict animals. These small statues, though simple in form, may have had spiritual or symbolic significance, possibly representing gods, ancestors, or animals that held special meaning for the community. Some researchers believe that these figurines were part of a religious or shamanistic practice, used in rituals to invoke the blessings of the gods or to ensure a good harvest. One of the most intriguing aspects of Kirokitia is the evidence of burial practices that have been uncovered at the site. Several tombs have been found within the settlement, with the deceased placed in the fetal position, a practice common in many ancient cultures. The graves contain not just human remains, but also grave goods, such as pottery and tools, suggesting that the dead were honored with offerings for use in the afterlife. The careful positioning of the bodies and the presence of grave goods indicate a belief in life after death, and the idea that the dead continued to play an important role in the lives of the living. This raises questions about the spiritual beliefs of the people of Kirokitia. Did they have a pantheon of gods, or did they worship ancestors and nature spirits? Was there a belief in the continuity of life, in which the deceased provided guidance and protection to the living? The people of Kirokitia also appear to have had a deep connection to the natural world, and evidence suggests that they may have engaged in some form of ritual or ceremonial activity related to the cycles of nature. The settlement's location, nestled between the hills and near a freshwater spring, may have been chosen for its symbolic or practical significance. Could the inhabitants have viewed the natural landscape as sacred, with certain places in the environment believed to hold spiritual power? Some of the pottery and figurines found at Kirokitia depict animals and natural motifs, further suggesting that the people's worldview was intricately tied to the earth and its rhythms. Despite the wealth of information uncovered at Kirokitia, much about the site remains shrouded in mystery. What drove these ancient people to build such an intricate and organized settlement? Was their society governed by a central authority, or was it more egalitarian, with decisions made collectively by the community? What was the role of religion in their daily lives, and how did they understand the world around them? These questions remain unanswered, and as researchers continue to study the site, new discoveries may provide further clues to the complex nature of Kirokitia. As we stand among the ruins of this ancient settlement, surrounded by the silent stone walls and the ghostly echoes of a long-lost civilization, we are reminded of how much of human history remains hidden, waiting to be uncovered. The circular houses of Kirokitia, the carefully arranged burial sites, and the rich material culture all speak to a people who lived in harmony with their environment, who sought to understand the cycles of life and death, and who left behind a legacy that still captivates us today. Yet, the true meaning of Kirokitia, like so many ancient sites, remains elusive. What was the spiritual significance of the settlement's layout? What role did the dead play in the lives of the living? And what knowledge did these people possess that has been lost to time? Kirokitia stands as a testament to the ingenuity and spirituality of one of the earliest known societies in the Mediterranean. As we continue to study and reflect on this fascinating site, we are left with more questions than answers. And perhaps that is the greatest mystery of all. What secrets does Kirokitia still hold, waiting for us to uncover in the quiet dust of the past? As we leave behind the ancient stone circles and ceremonial sites of the Mediterranean, we now travel north, into the heart of Europe, where the dense forests of Germany conceal one of the most mysterious and captivating archaeological sites of the early Iron Age, Pummelte Ring Sanctuary. Located in the region of Saxony-Anhalt, this site, discovered in the 1990s, has since stunned archaeologists and researchers with its complexity and the unanswered questions it raises about the spiritual and social lives of the people who constructed it. Pummelte is often referred to as the German Stonehenge, due to its striking resemblance to the more famous megalithic site in England. The sanctuary consists of a series of large circular enclosures with a central structure surrounded by several concentric rings of posts and ditches. These rings, some of which are up to 60 meters in diameter, form a striking visual pattern, echoing the sacred geometry found at other ancient ceremonial sites. The site covers several hectares, suggesting that it was an important location for a large community. The placement of the circles, combined with the size and number of the posts, speaks to the significant effort and resources that went into its construction, indicating that Pummelte was likely a central hub for ritual activity. Unlike the more widely known sites like Stonehenge or the megalithic complexes of Malta, the Pummelte Ring Sanctuary is not just a simple arrangement of stones. It is a monument built of timber posts, wooden beams, and earthworks, suggesting a highly specialized construction method. Archaeological excavation has revealed that the posts, many of which have been carbon dated to around 1300 BC, were arranged in a manner that suggests they had an astronomical purpose, aligning with the movement of the sun, the stars, and the moon. This alignment, along with other features of the site, has led researchers to speculate that Pummelte may have been a sophisticated observatory or a sacred space used for marking celestial events, like solstices and equinoxes. The layout of the Pummelte sanctuary is indeed puzzling. The central area of the complex appears to have been reserved for a large structure, possibly a wooden building or a temple, surrounded by the circular rings. Some of these rings are thought to represent solar or lunar cycles, suggesting that the people who built Pummelte had a deep understanding of the movements of the heavens. Did they track the rising and setting of the sun across the seasons, or perhaps measure the passage of time based on the moon's cycles? The precision of the site's design hints at a knowledge of astronomy that would have been remarkable for its time. Could the site have been used as a place for ritual observances tied to agricultural cycles, or even to forecast future events? But beyond the astronomical alignments, the purpose of Pummelte remains shrouded in mystery. Some scholars have suggested that the sanctuary was a site for large-scale communal gatherings, perhaps religious ceremonies or festivals, while others propose that it served a more exclusive purpose, acting as a sacred space reserved for the elite or a priestly class. The presence of large wooden posts and the absence of permanent stone structures has led some to believe that Pummelte was a ceremonial space designed for temporary use, perhaps only occupied during specific religious or seasonal events. The construction of the rings at Pömelte also raises significant questions about the society that built it. The scale and sophistication of the site suggest that it was not the work of a small group of people, but rather a highly organized community, possibly part of a larger network of tribes or cultures that shared knowledge and practices across Europe. The extensive use of timber, an abundant resource in the region, may have symbolized a connection to the natural world, as wood was often associated with life, growth, and rebirth in ancient belief systems. But the lack of stone and other durable materials challenges the conventional understanding of early monumental architecture, suggesting that the people who constructed Pömelte may have had different priorities or resources compared to other contemporary societies. Archaeologists have also uncovered evidence of ritual feasting and the remains of sacrificial offerings at the site. Burnt bones, pottery fragments, and even animal remains have been found in and around the central structures, suggesting that Pömelte may have been a place of sacrifice and offerings. These rituals likely had spiritual significance, but were they intended to appease gods, ancestors, or natural forces? The specific meaning of the rituals remains unclear, but the evidence points to a culture deeply invested in the spiritual and ritualistic aspects of life. One of the most curious features of Pömelte is the presence of what some researchers believe to be a form of sacred geometry, evident in the alignment of the posts and the circular enclosures. The layout of the sanctuary, with its concentric rings, may have symbolized the cycles of life, death, and rebirth, concepts that were central to many ancient cultures. Could the people of Pömelte have seen the site as a representation of the cosmos, with each ring corresponding to different layers of existence, from the heavens to the underworld? The symbolic importance of the site's geometry adds another layer of mystery, suggesting that Pömelte may have been a space not just for physical rituals, but for spiritual and cosmic reflection. Adding to the intrigue of Pömelte are the unanswered questions about the people who built it. The site is believed to have been constructed by the Bronze Age societies of Central Europe, specifically the Unitites culture, but very little is known about their social structure, religion, or daily life. Who were the builders of this monument, and what drove them to invest so much effort into creating such a complex site? The surrounding area, rich in natural resources, suggests that the people of Pömelte were skilled in farming, metalworking, and trade. But what motivated them to create a structure that seems, at least in part, dedicated to the observation of celestial events? Was this driven by a desire to control or understand the forces of nature, or was it an expression of religious devotion, seeking to align the human world with the divine? There is also the lingering question of the eventual decline of the Pömelte sanctuary. By the end of the Bronze Age, the site appears to have been abandoned, its once precise alignments and wooden posts slowly deteriorating over time. What led to the end of its use? Was it the result of social upheaval, environmental change, or a shift in religious practices? The abandonment of such a significant site suggests that something may have changed within the community, but what that change was remains speculative. Did the people of Pömelte outgrow their spiritual practices, or did they move on to a new, more enduring form of worship or societal structure? Today, Pömelte stands as a remarkable testament to the skill, spiritual depth, and mystery of its builders. The site, though not as widely known as other megalithic structures, is a profound reminder of the ancient desire to understand the cosmos and our place within it. As the rings of Pömelte continue to watch over the landscape, we are left with many questions that may never be answered. Was it a site of ritual sacrifice, a cosmic observatory, or a gathering place for the people of ancient Central Europe? Perhaps it was all of these things, a convergence of practical, spiritual, and astronomical forces. What we do know is that, like many ancient sites, Pömelte holds a power that transcends its physical form, a power that continues to intrigue and mystify those who stand before it. And as we contemplate the mysteries of this ancient sanctuary, we are reminded that there may always be secrets buried in the earth, waiting to be uncovered, their true meaning still hidden from our understanding. As we leave behind the enigmatic wooden posts of Pumelte, we journey across the waters to the shores of France, where another megalithic site quietly holds its secrets. Nestled in the rolling landscape of Brittany, the Karnak Quadrilateral is one of the lesser-known but equally mysterious stone alignments that have long intrigued archaeologists, historians, and researchers. Here, amidst a vast field of standing stones, some of which stretch across several kilometers, lies a geometric arrangement of stones unlike any other, an imposing quadrilateral of megalithic proportions. But the question remains: why did ancient people spend so much effort to arrange these stones in this specific geometric pattern? And what purpose could this seemingly abstract configuration have served? The Karnak Quadrilateral is located near the famous Karnak stones, a well-known collection of over 3,000 megalithic stones that stretch across the landscape in long, sweeping lines. These alignments are thought to have been created during the Neolithic period, around 3,300 to 4,500 BC, although the exact date remains uncertain. While many of the other stone alignments in the region form linear rows, the Karnak Quadrilateral is an arrangement that diverges from the typical layout. The quadrilateral shape is not perfectly symmetrical, but rather it creates a broad, open rectangle with large standing stones marking each corner and several rows of smaller stones extending outwards. These stones stand in stark contrast to the surrounding natural landscape, their rough, weathered surfaces giving the impression that they have been placed here to remain untouched by time, as if they were part of some greater plan that we have yet to fully understand. What makes the Karnak Quadrilateral particularly intriguing is the absence of definitive explanations. While other megalithic sites, like Stonehenge, have been linked to ritualistic practices, astronomical observations, or even burial sites, the quadrilateral at Karnak offers few clues to its purpose. Some researchers have proposed that it might have served as a ritual or ceremonial space, its geometric shape potentially symbolizing cosmic forces or even the earthly realm's connection to the heavens. The carefully chosen alignment of stones could indicate a desire to synchronize with celestial bodies, marking the passage of time or tracking seasonal cycles. Was it a place of worship where ancient people sought to understand the patterns of nature through geometry? Or did it have a more practical function, serving as a gathering space for large communities, where the stones acted as markers or landmarks for important events? The stones themselves vary in size, with the largest standing stones at the corners of the quadrilateral. These stones are substantial in weight, some weighing several tons, and are roughly rectangular, with their faces polished and aligned in a specific orientation. The placement of these stones seems deliberate, suggesting that those who built the site had a profound understanding of geometry and a keen eye for precision. Could this be evidence of an advanced knowledge system, one that was capable of aligning stones with such accuracy? Though the Karnak Quadrilateral shares some similarities with other megalithic sites, its shape sets it apart from other ancient monuments, such as those found at Stonehenge or the Ring of Brodgar. In fact, no other known site features a similarly perfect rectangular arrangement of stones. This raises the question: was the quadrilateral purely a geometric structure, or did it carry spiritual or symbolic meaning for the ancient people who created it? Ancient cultures often imbued shapes with metaphysical significance, and the quadrilateral may have symbolized a cosmic harmony or balance between earthly and celestial realms. The very act of creating such an intricate pattern could have held ritualistic importance, representing a desire to harmonize with the forces of nature, the heavens, and the earth. Beyond the symbolic and ritualistic theories, there is also the possibility that the Karnak quadrilateral served a more functional role. Some scholars have speculated that the site could have been an ancient marketplace, a place where goods were traded and agreements were made, with the stones acting as physical boundaries or markers for specific sections of the area. Others have proposed that the quadrilateral may have served as a gathering space for large ceremonies, with the stones forming the perimeter of a sacred or communal space, possibly used for important rituals or feasts. The fact that the stones are not all perfectly aligned with one another, there is a noticeable irregularity to the shape, suggests that the builders may have placed them to reflect natural features in the landscape, working with the terrain rather than imposing a rigid structure upon it. While the physical arrangement of the stones is puzzling, the absence of written records makes it difficult to understand what role the Karnak quadrilateral played in the lives of those who built it. The people responsible for the construction of the megalithic sites around Karnak, including the quadrilateral, are often believed to have been part of the early agricultural societies that emerged in Europe around 4000 BC. Little is known about their culture, religious beliefs, or daily practices, but the complexity of the Karnak stones, combined with the precision of the quadrilateral, suggests that these early Europeans possessed a remarkable understanding of engineering, astronomy, and social organization. The fact that the stones were placed in such a careful and deliberate manner suggests that the builders valued both the aesthetic and functional properties of the site, and that their creation may have had significance beyond the purely practical. Adding to the mystery of the Karnak quadrilateral is its placement within the broader context of the Karnak stones. The alignment of the stones and their proximity to other megalithic monuments in the region raises the possibility that the quadrilateral was part of a larger ceremonial landscape. Was it connected to the nearby lines of stones, which are thought to be aligned with celestial events like the solstices and equinoxes? If so, the quadrilateral could represent an important piece of a larger puzzle, offering a more profound connection between humanity and the cosmos. Given the lack of definitive explanations, it is possible that the purpose of the Karnak quadrilateral may never be fully understood. Some researchers have speculated that the quadrilateral may represent a lost form of sacred geometry, the keys to which were buried with the ancient builders themselves. Others suggest that the site may have been a place for the living and the dead to coexist, with the stones serving as markers for both ritual practices and burial sites. Could the quadrilateral have been a boundary between the world of the living and the realm of the spirit? Or perhaps it was simply a work of art, a monumental display of human creativity designed to evoke awe and wonder? The absence of definitive answers only adds to the allure of the Karnak quadrilateral. As we look at the weathered stones, their sharp angles softened by centuries of wind and rain, we are left with more questions than answers. What did these stones mean to the people who erected them? Were they meant to align with the cosmos, to mark the seasons, or to serve as a place for the community to gather? As we stand before this mysterious site, we are reminded of how much of our history is still hidden and how much remains to be discovered. Perhaps the key to understanding the Karnak quadrilateral lies in unlocking the broader patterns of ancient megalithic culture, or perhaps its true meaning will always remain just beyond our reach, waiting for the next generation of explorers to unveil its secrets. And as we leave the Karnak quadrilateral behind, we are left with one lingering thought. What other hidden sites like this exist, their mysteries still waiting to be solved, tucked away in the forgotten corners of our world? As we leave the enigmatic stone structures of Karnak behind, we turn our attention south to the Iberian Peninsula, where a mysterious and ancient civilization once thrived. Los Millares, located in the southeast of Spain, is an archaeological site that quietly holds the remnants of a society that existed during the late Copper Age, around 3000 BC to 1800 BC. Here, within a harsh and arid landscape, a sprawling settlement rises from the earth, offering tantalizing glimpses of a complex early civilization whose existence was once largely forgotten. The site of Los Millares is striking not only for its age but for the sophistication of its architecture. The settlement is divided into several concentric walls, which were built with impressive precision and skill. The outer wall, a massive structure made of stone, encloses the settlement, while inside, a series of smaller circular houses are arranged in a way that suggests a highly organized society. These homes, constructed from stone and mud brick, are clustered together, with narrow streets and passageways between them, giving the impression of a tightly knit community. The overall layout of the settlement points to a well-planned strategic design, which would have been necessary for both defense and daily life in an area that was prone to conflict. At the heart of Los Millares is the large, fortified hilltop complex, which suggests that the site had both a domestic and a ceremonial function. The settlement, once bustling with life, is now a quiet ruin, its stone structures weathered and worn by millennia of exposure to the elements. Yet, despite the passage of time, the settlement's layout remains remarkably intact, offering a glimpse into the architectural and social practices of its builders. What stands out most about Los Millares is the sheer scale of the site and the evidence of sophisticated planning and organization. The walls and buildings are built with large, carefully cut stones, and the construction techniques used to create these structures suggest an advanced understanding of engineering for the time. The settlement's layout includes multiple layers of fortifications, with defensive walls, gates, and towers strategically placed to protect the inhabitants from potential invaders. The level of detail in these defenses suggests that the people of Los Millares were not only skilled craftsmen, but also keenly aware of the dangers they faced in their environment. Within the settlement, evidence of a highly developed material culture has been uncovered. Excavations have revealed a wealth of pottery, tools, and jewelry, many of which display intricate designs and techniques that were ahead of their time. These artifacts indicate that the people of Los Millares were not just farmers and herders, but also skilled artisans, capable of creating both functional objects and beautiful works of art. The pottery found at the site is especially notable for its complexity, with many pieces featuring decorative motifs and symbols that suggest a culture with a deep connection to both the natural world and the supernatural. Among the most intriguing discoveries at Los Millares are the burial sites, which reveal a rich and complex understanding of death and the afterlife. In the tombs, archaeologists have uncovered the remains of individuals, often accompanied by valuable grave goods, including jewelry, tools, and weapons. The bodies were often placed in a fetal position, a burial practice common to many ancient cultures, and the grave goods suggest that the people of Los Millares believed in an afterlife, where the deceased would need these items for the journey beyond. The significance of the graves is not just in the items buried with the dead, but in the layout of the burial sites themselves. Many of the tombs are aligned in specific patterns, suggesting that the people of Los Millares had a deep understanding of space and time. Could these alignments have had astronomical significance, marking key celestial events such as solstices or equinoxes? The placement of the tombs may have been more than just a practical arrangement. They could have been a reflection of spiritual beliefs, where the dead were placed in a way that symbolized their connection to the cosmos. The question remains, were these tombs markers of social status, or did they represent a more profound connection between life, death, and the stars? Another striking feature of Los Millares is its location. Situated in the valley of the Rio de los Molinos, the site is surrounded by rugged hills and a harsh, unforgiving landscape. The geography of the region would have made it difficult for the inhabitants to sustain large-scale agriculture, yet evidence suggests that they managed to thrive in this environment. The people of Los Millares were adept at using the natural resources available to them, including stone, copper, and the fertile land near the river. The settlement's location also raises the question of how the people of Los Millares interacted with their environment. Did they see the landscape as a living entity, one that needed to be respected and understood? Or did they see it as a realm to be conquered, using their knowledge of the land to extract resources for their survival? While the architecture, artifacts, and burial practices of Los Millares offer valuable insights into the daily life and beliefs of its inhabitants, many questions remain unanswered. Who were the people who built this complex settlement? And what was their relationship with the wider world? The settlement at Los Millares was part of the broader Copper Age civilization, but very little is known about the culture that created it. Some researchers have speculated that the people of Los Millares may have been part of a larger network of communities, connected through trade, shared religious practices, and perhaps even warfare. The site's sophisticated defenses and the wealth of grave goods suggest that the people of Los Millares had access to significant resources. But from where did these resources come? Theories abound, with some suggesting that the people of Los Millares were involved in long-distance trade, exchanging goods such as copper, salt, and pottery with neighboring cultures. Others have posited that the settlement was part of a larger, complex social system, where elite families controlled the production of certain goods, while others were responsible for farming or other forms of labor. Yet the true nature of their social and economic structure remains a mystery. The reasons for the eventual decline of Los Millares are equally elusive. By the end of the Bronze Age, the settlement appears to have been abandoned, with no clear indication of why or how it fell into disuse. Was it the result of external pressures, such as invasions or environmental changes? Or was it due to internal factors, such as social upheaval or a shift in religious beliefs? The reasons for the abandonment of the site remain speculative, and without further evidence, we can only wonder what led to the decline of this once thriving civilization. Despite the wealth of information that has been uncovered at Los Millares, the site remains shrouded in mystery. Its complex architecture, its rich material culture, and its deeply symbolic burial practices offer only a fragment of the story. What was the true purpose of Los Millares? Was it a religious center, a place of trade, or a symbol of a more sophisticated social order? The answers to these questions remain hidden beneath the stone walls and burial mounds, waiting to be uncovered by future generations of researchers. As we look out over the remains of Los Millares, we are reminded that even the most advanced civilizations of the ancient world left behind only traces of their existence. What secrets are still buried here, waiting to be unearthed? And what does the story of Los Millares tell us about the people who once called it home, and the civilizations that rose and fell long before our time? The mystery of Los Millares, like so many ancient sites, remains unsolved, but it continues to inspire awe and wonder as we reflect on the complex and enigmatic civilizations that once shaped our world. As we continue our journey through the ancient mysteries of civilization, we turn to a site nestled in the quiet countryside of western France, where the past lingers in the shadows of ancient mounds. The tumulus of Bougon, located near the village of Bougon in the Poitou-Charentes region, is an enigmatic burial site that has captivated archaeologists and historians alike. Here, in this peaceful landscape, lie the remnants of one of Europe's oldest and most complex burial structures, a place where death and the afterlife were given great importance, yet where the answers to many questions remain elusive. The tumulus of Bougon is not just one burial mound, but a sprawling complex of megalithic structures that have withstood the ravages of time. The site consists of several large, circular tumuli, burial mounds, which are scattered across a wide area. These tumuli are made from massive stones and earth, and their size and intricate construction suggest that the people who built them had a profound understanding of architecture and engineering. The largest of these mounds, the Great Tumulus, rises dramatically from the flat landscape, its base encircled by a series of stone walls. Upon first glance, the site appears simple, just a collection of mounds and stones, but the more one delves into its history, the more complex and mysterious it becomes. The tumuli at Bhugan are thought to have been constructed during the Neolithic period, around 4,500 BC to 3,500 BC, making them older than the pyramids of Egypt and the great megalithic structures of Stonehenge. The burial mounds are believed to have been built by an advanced society that had already mastered the art of stone construction. Each mound is surrounded by a series of stone walls and passageways that seem to have been designed not only for protection, but also for spiritual or ritual purposes. The presence of these stone structures, combined with the vast size of the tumuli, suggests that the people of Bhugan viewed death and burial in a highly ritualized and ceremonial manner. When you visit the tumulus of Bhugan, the scale of the site is immediately striking. The largest mound, measuring nearly 25 meters in diameter, is surrounded by a high stone wall, and at its core lies a burial chamber constructed from massive blocks of stone. The tombs themselves are relatively simple, but their arrangement, along with the stone walls and passageways, suggests that they had a more complex function than just serving as burial places. Could these mounds have been symbolic representations of the underworld or of cosmic forces, with the stones and their placement reflecting the belief systems of the people who built them? Archaeological excavations at Bhugan have uncovered a wealth of artifacts that offer a glimpse into the culture and practices of the people who constructed these monumental mounds. Pottery, tools, jewelry, and animal remains have been found alongside the human remains buried within the tumuli, hinting at a society that valued both the practical and the symbolic. The grave goods suggest that the people of Bhugan had a deep belief in the afterlife, with the items buried alongside the dead perhaps serving as offerings or necessities for the journey into the next world. But what do these artifacts reveal about the spiritual life of the people who constructed the site? Were they part of a larger religious tradition, or were these tombs built to honor specific individuals or deities? The burial chambers themselves are designed in a way that is both practical and symbolic. Many of the tombs are built with stone slabs, and the bodies are often arranged in a fetal position, a practice that echoes the rituals of many ancient cultures. The fetal position could have symbolized a return to the womb or a journey back to the origins of life, suggesting a cyclical view of existence, one where death is not an end, but a transition to another state of being. The stones, placed carefully around the bodies, may have been thought to protect the deceased or to mark their passage to the afterlife. The ritualized nature of these tombs, with their careful construction and the placement of grave goods, hints at a society that viewed death as a profound and transformative event. One of the most intriguing aspects of the tumulus of Bhugan is the lack of written records or any clear indication of the identity of the people who built it. While we know that the tumuli were constructed by a Neolithic society, little is known about their culture, social structure, or religious beliefs. What we do know is that the people of Bhugan were skilled builders and craftsmen, capable of constructing complex structures with a deep understanding of the natural world. The size and sophistication of the tumuli suggest that this was a society with access to considerable resources and the labor required to create such a monumental site. But who were these people, and what did they believe, and what did... Some researchers have suggested that the tumuli at Bhugan may have been built by a society that was influenced by earlier megalithic cultures, perhaps as a way to commemorate important leaders or religious figures. Others have speculated that the site could have had an astronomical function, with the tumuli and their alignments serving as markers for specific celestial events. The alignment of the stones and the overall layout of the mounds could have been designed to track the movements of the sun or the stars, pointing to a society that had an advanced understanding of the cosmos. Could the tumuli have been aligned with the stars, marking the cycles of the heavens in a way that connected the dead with the celestial realm? Beyond these theories, there are more speculative ideas about the purpose of the tumulus of Bugon. Some have proposed that the site could have been a center of spiritual or religious power, where the dead were honored through complex rituals. The size and design of the mounds could indicate that they were more than just burial sites. They may have been places of pilgrimage or even sacrifice, where the living interacted with the dead in a way that was integral to their understanding of life and death. The question remains: what was the relationship between the living and the dead in the society that built Bugon? Was this a place where the boundary between the two worlds was more fluid? A place where the spirits of the ancestors were believed to have an ongoing presence in the lives of the people? Adding to the mystery is the fact that the tumulus of Bugon, along with other similar sites in the region, was abandoned long before written records were established in Europe. By around 1500 BC, the tumuli were no longer in use, and the reasons for their abandonment remain unclear. Was the site abandoned due to environmental changes, social upheaval, or the rise of new religious or cultural practices? The end of the site's use raises more questions than answers, leaving us to wonder whether the people who built the tumuli were displaced, or whether their beliefs simply evolved into something new. Today, the tumulus of Bugon stands as a monument to the mystery of ancient burial practices. The stones, weathered by centuries of wind and rain, are all that remain of a society whose ways of life and death are long lost to history. What can we learn from these burial mounds? What stories do they hold that are still waiting to be uncovered? As we stand before these ancient structures, we are reminded that, while much has been learned, much more remains hidden, locked away in the stones, waiting for the next generation of archaeologists to piece together the forgotten tales of those who once inhabited this land. In the end, the tumulus of Bugon, like so many ancient sites, offers more questions than answers. But in these questions lies the allure of discovery, the tantalizing hope that someday the answers to these mysteries might be found, shedding light on the lives and beliefs of the people who once built this remarkable site. As we move from the enigmatic burial mounds of Bugon, we travel to the quiet hills of Gloucestershire, England, where another ancient burial site has stood the test of time, Ewley Long Barrow. This Neolithic structure, dating back to around 3000 BC, is part of a larger megalithic landscape, rich in mystery and archaeological significance. Nestled in the rolling countryside of the Cotswolds, Ewley Long Barrow is not just a burial site, it is a connection to a distant past, a place where death, rituals, and the passage of time were deeply intertwined with the land itself. But as with so many ancient sites, the true purpose and meaning of this long barrow remain elusive, leaving us with more questions than answers. The Ewley Long Barrow is a large, trapezoidal mound, constructed from massive stone slabs and earth, stretching about 25 meters in length. It stands at the base of a hill with a view of the surrounding valley, as though the barrow itself is watching over the landscape. The mound is part of a group of similar barrows that dot the Cotswolds, many of which date to the late Neolithic and early Bronze Ages. Ewley, however, is one of the best preserved and most significant, with its massive stone entrance, passageways, and chambers providing insight into the burial practices of the time. At the heart of Ewley Long Barrow is a burial chamber, a space designed to hold the remains of the dead. Unlike many other Neolithic tombs, the Ewley Long Barrow is not just a simple mound. It is a carefully constructed structure, with stone walls and a roof formed from large slabs of limestone. The entrance to the barrow is marked by a carefully placed stone arch, which leads to a long passageway, flanked by smaller chambers that were used to house the deceased. The architecture of the site suggests that it was designed not only to serve as a tomb, but also to facilitate ritual activities and to honor the dead in a way that reflected the cultural and spiritual beliefs of the people who built it. The purpose of the barrow, like many of its kind, was likely to act as a monumental burial place, a final resting place for the dead, and a place for the living to come and pay respects. Yet, the structure of Yuli Long Barrow hints at more than just a simple burial. The elaborate design, with its passageways and chambers, suggests that the barrow may have had a symbolic role, one that goes beyond the simple act of interment. The placement of the dead within the barrow, the alignment of the tomb, and the architectural complexity all suggest that the people who built it had a deep understanding of space, time, and the natural world. The burial chambers of Yuli Long Barrow have revealed a wealth of artifacts, including pottery, tools, and even human remains, all of which provide clues to the social and cultural practices of the people who lived here thousands of years ago. The pottery found at the site is particularly striking, with its intricate designs and forms suggesting a people who were skilled in craftsmanship. The tools found within the barrow, including flint knives and axes, suggest that the society was one of hunters, gatherers, and farmers, capable of creating sophisticated tools for both daily life and ritual purposes. The burial practices at Yuli Long Barrow are also significant. The bodies of the dead were placed in the chambers in a crouched or fetal position, a common burial practice during this period. This positioning may have symbolized a return to the womb or a belief in the cyclical nature of life and death. The bodies were often accompanied by grave goods, items that were thought to be necessary for the deceased in the afterlife. These items, such as pottery, flint tools, and animal bones, were likely seen as essential for the deceased's journey to the next world. But what exactly did the people of Yuli believe about death? Was it merely a transition to another state of being, or was it a journey that required careful preparation and protection? The discovery of the human remains within the barrow provides further insight into the practices of this ancient society. The bones found within the tombs show evidence of both primary and secondary burial practices. In some cases, the bodies were placed within the chambers immediately after death, while in other instances, the remains were later reburied or moved to different chambers. This suggests that the burial process at Yuli Long Barrow was a complex and evolving practice, one that may have involved multiple stages of interment. One of the most compelling aspects of Yuli Long Barrow is its alignment with the surrounding landscape. The barrow is positioned so that it aligns with key features of the land, such as the hills and the distant horizon, indicating that the builders had a sophisticated understanding of the geography and how it related to their spiritual beliefs. The positioning of the barrow in the landscape suggests that it may have had a symbolic connection to the sun, the moon, or other celestial bodies, much like other megalithic sites around the world. Could the builders of Yuli Long Barrow have been attempting to connect the dead to the stars, aligning their burial site with the movements of celestial bodies? Or were the tombs simply aligned with the seasonal cycles, marking the passage of time and the cycles of life and death? There is also the possibility that Yuli Long Barrow had a broader social function beyond that of a burial site. Some scholars have suggested that the barrow may have served as a communal center where people gathered for rituals or feasts. The size and complexity of the barrow, along with its placement in the landscape, could have made it an important focal point for social and religious activities. Could this long barrow have been a site of ancestral worship, where the living came to honor their ancestors and seek guidance or protection from the spirits of the dead? As with many ancient sites, the true meaning and purpose of Yuli Long Barrow remain shrouded in mystery. While we can gather clues from the architecture, the artifacts, and the burial practices, the deeper spiritual beliefs of the people who built the barrow remain elusive. What did they believe about the afterlife? What role did the dead play in their daily lives? Did they see death as a transition to another world? Or was it a process of continuity, where the spirits of the dead remained among the living? The questions surrounding Yuli Long Barrow are as complex and layered as the stones that make up its structure. And as we look at the mound today, with its stone walls and quiet passageways, we are reminded that ancient people, despite their differences from us, were driven by similar desires: to understand their place in the universe, to honor the dead, and to search for meaning in the cycle of life and death. In this way, the mystery of Yuli Long Barrow, like so many other ancient sites, reminds us that there is much more to be discovered, not just about the past, but about the human spirit itself. And so we leave Yuli Long Barrow with as many questions as we came with. What secrets still lie beneath the stones, waiting to be uncovered? What stories are yet to be told, hidden in the earth, just waiting for the right moment to emerge? As we continue our journey through the ancient world, these mysteries, both solved and unsolved, serve as a reminder that history is not just a collection of facts and dates, but a living, breathing story that continues to unfold before us. As we continue our journey through ancient civilization mysteries, we turn now to a quiet corner of the English Lake District, where a megalithic stone circle has stood for thousands of years, its purpose and meaning still largely unknown. Castlerigg, a prehistoric monument that dates back to around 3000 BC, is one of the most famous stone circles in Britain. But beyond its main cluster of towering stones lies a lesser-known feature of the site: the Castlerigg peripheral stones. These stones, positioned on the outskirts of the main circle, remain shrouded in mystery, with their function and significance still a subject of debate among archaeologists and historians. The first thing that strikes you when approaching Castlerigg is its striking location. Nestled on a gentle rise in the landscape, the stone circle is surrounded by dramatic hills and mountain ranges, offering a breathtaking panoramic view of the surrounding valleys. This strategic position suggests that the people who built Castlerigg were not only interested in creating a monument, but also in connecting it to the natural world around them. The positioning of the stones aligns with the surrounding landscape, and the distant peaks appear to form a deliberate backdrop to the arrangement of stones, hinting at an understanding of geography, astronomy, and ritual that goes beyond simple construction. The main stone circle at Castlerigg consists of 38 stones, arranged in a near-perfect circle, with the tallest stones standing at the entrance and gradually decreasing in size as you move inward. It's easy to see how the site has captured the imagination of so many, as its purpose seems far more profound than just a decorative arrangement. While the exact purpose of Castlerigg remains a mystery, it is widely believed to have been a site for ritual or ceremonial activities, perhaps related to the changing of the seasons or other celestial events. The careful alignment of the stones, particularly the stones at the entrance, suggests that the builders had an intimate knowledge of the solar and lunar cycles. However, it is the Castlerigg peripheral stones, scattered outside the main circle, that add another layer of intrigue to this already mysterious site. These stones, varying in size and shape, are positioned in a wide arc around the main circle, creating an ambiguous boundary between the sacred center and the surrounding world. At first glance, they appear to be part of a larger, more expansive structure, yet their positioning seems to imply a different function altogether, one that goes beyond merely marking the perimeter of the circle. Some of the stones lie in subtle, seemingly random formations, while others are positioned in such a way that they seem to point toward key features of the landscape or align with the main circle in ways that suggest a deliberate intent. In exploring the purpose of the Castlerigg peripheral stones, scholars have proposed several theories, though none can fully explain their role. One theory suggests that these stones were part of a larger ritualistic framework, serving as markers or symbols of different stages in a ceremonial process. The positioning of these peripheral stones might have been designed to guide participants through a ritualistic journey, with the main circle representing a place of focus or concentration. Could the peripheral stones have served as markers for different phases of a ritual? Or were they part of a larger symbolic structure that connected the site to other natural or cosmic forces? Another possible explanation is that the peripheral stones were intended to enhance the acoustics of the site. In many ancient stone structures, the arrangement of stones has been found to create specific sound effects, amplifying voices or creating unique reverberations. Could the peripheral stones at Castlerig have been arranged to harness the natural acoustics of the surrounding landscape, amplifying sound and creating an auditory experience for those participating in ceremonies? The sounds produced by the stones may have played a key role in the rituals that took place here, further reinforcing the idea that Castlerig was more than just a visual monument. It was a multi-sensory experience designed to engage the body, mind, and spirit. The connection between the Castlerig peripheral stones and the main circle is another area of speculation. Are these peripheral stones merely a boundary, or are they part of a larger symbolic pattern that ties the whole site together? Some researchers have suggested that the arrangement of the stones might have represented an alignment with celestial bodies, such as the sun or the moon, or even specific stars. The idea that Castlerig was an astronomical observatory has long been a point of intrigue, with the alignment of the main circle stones suggesting a possible connection to the solar and lunar cycles. Could the peripheral stones, in their scattered positions, have also been used to mark the movement of celestial bodies across the sky? Were they part of a larger cosmic map, tracing the path of the sun or the stars as they moved across the heavens? There are also those who believe that the peripheral stones were connected to a more mystical or esoteric purpose. Some have speculated that the stones could have been intended to mark a spiritual or mystical journey, a pilgrimage of sorts, where individuals would walk between the peripheral stones and the central circle as part of a sacred ritual. The seemingly random placement of some of the stones might suggest a pathway or journey, with each stone marking a step along the way. Could these stones have been used as waypoints for the movement of individuals during a spiritual or ritualistic journey? But the mystery of the Castlerig peripheral stones extends beyond their possible ceremonial function. There is also the question of who placed them there and why. The people who built Castlerig were part of a Neolithic society, a society that left behind few written records and little direct evidence of its cultural practices. What we know of them comes primarily from the stone structures they left behind. But what do these stones tell us about the worldview of the people who built them? Was the arrangement of the peripheral stones intended to reflect a broader understanding of the cosmos, of death, and of life beyond this world? Were the peripheral stones connected to an understanding of sacred geometry, a language of the universe that was represented in stone? Or were they simply markers of a physical space, defining the boundary between the sacred and the mundane? One of the most perplexing aspects of the Castlerig peripheral stones is the lack of any clear consensus on their function. Archaeologists and historians have proposed many theories, but none have been able to definitively explain the purpose of these stones. Some believe that they were part of a ritualistic framework, while others see them as markers of astronomical importance. Still, others suggest that they were simply symbolic, with no functional role other than to contribute to the sacred atmosphere of the site. As we stand at the edge of the main circle, gazing out over the peripheral stones, it is impossible not to feel a sense of wonder at the sheer mystery of the site. What was the true purpose of these stones? Were they markers, guides, or something more? And why do they remain so cryptic, even today? Like so many ancient sites, Castlerig, with its peripheral stones scattered across the landscape, offers more questions than answers. Yet, Perhaps it is in these unanswered questions that the true mystery of Castle Rig lies, waiting for the right moment and the right mind to uncover its secrets. As we leave the stones behind and walk toward the horizon, we are reminded of the vastness of the unknown. What mysteries remain hidden in the quiet corners of the world, waiting to be discovered? And what stories, like those of the Castle Rig peripheral stones, will continue to elude us, their secrets locked away in time? As we journey deeper into the hidden realms of ancient civilizations, we arrive on the rugged island of Corsica, a place where the ancient world whispers through the stones of a forgotten age. Here, in the heart of the Mediterranean, the Taurian megaliths stand, enduring testaments to a civilization whose identity remains elusive. The stones, towering over the island's landscape, offer more than just a glimpse into the past. They speak of a culture that revered the land, the sky, and the very forces that shaped their world. But despite centuries of research and excavation, the mystery of the Taurian megaliths remains as impenetrable as the ancient stone walls themselves. The Taurian megaliths, known locally as Tauri, are scattered across the island, with the most significant concentration found in the central and southern regions. These megalithic structures, which range in size from towering monoliths to intricate stone walls, are thought to date back to around 1500 BC during the Late Bronze Age. Their name, Taurian, derives from the term Tora, meaning tower, which is fitting considering the vertical nature of many of the megaliths. Some of the towers reach up to several meters in height, their sharp lines piercing the sky, while others are smaller but no less mysterious, dotting the landscape like silent sentinels watching over the island. What sets the Taurian megaliths apart from other megalithic structures across Europe is their unique design and purpose. While similar stone constructions can be found on the nearby islands of Sardinia and Sicily, Corsica's megaliths have an architectural distinctiveness that suggests a culture all their own. The towers themselves are made of large, unshaped stones, stacked one upon another, creating structures that are both simple and imposing. In some cases, the megaliths form circular or elliptical shapes, while in others they stand alone or in small groups. Many of these structures appear to have been used as defensive fortifications, while others have been identified as ritual or religious sites. The most prominent feature of these megalithic structures is their verticality. Unlike the horizontal alignments found in other megalithic sites, the Taurian towers seem to be designed to reach toward the sky, as though to connect the earth below with the heavens above. The question arises, were these structures intended to mark the presence of the divine, to reach out to the gods, or to serve as a focal point for astronomical or celestial observations? The positioning of the megaliths, often in alignment with the rising or setting sun, suggests that the builders may have had an advanced understanding of the natural world and its cycles, using the stones to mark important moments in the solar or lunar calendar. There is also the suggestion that the towers may have been designed to serve as watchtowers or defensive positions. The island of Corsica, with its rugged terrain and strategic location in the Mediterranean, has long been a crossroads for various cultures. The presence of these towering structures could have been a way to survey the land, to protect settlements from invaders, or to establish a symbolic presence over the surrounding territory. Some of the megaliths, with their narrow openings and high walls, appear to have been built for defensive purposes, while others, situated in remote locations, seem more aligned with ritual or ceremonial use. But was there a blending of the sacred and the practical in the minds of the people who constructed these towers? Despite the various theories, much of the history surrounding the Taurian megaliths remains speculative. Few written records have survived from the period, and the island's isolation from the mainland over the centuries has left little in the way of direct evidence regarding the culture that built these structures. However, what has been uncovered speaks volumes. Archaeological excavations around the megaliths have revealed that they were often surrounded by burial sites, with human remains and grave goods found near many of the towers. This suggests that the megaliths were not only sites for ritual or defense, but also for honoring the dead. Was the construction of these towering stones somehow linked to the belief in an afterlife, or the desire to mark the passage of time? Could they have been erected as places where the living could connect with their ancestors, where the dead were honored, and where the cycles of life and death were symbolically represented? The evidence of burial sites around the towers points to a strong spiritual or religious aspect to the culture that built them. Pottery, tools, and other artifacts found in association with the graves suggest that these objects were placed as offerings for the deceased, possibly for use in the afterlife. The positioning of the graves, often near the base of the megaliths, could have symbolized the connection between the living and the dead, as though the stones themselves were serving as a bridge between the two worlds. In many ancient cultures, such structures were seen as portals to the divine, and the vertical nature of the Taurian towers may have been intended to enhance this connection. Adding to the intrigue is the sheer number of megalithic sites spread across Corsica. Over 30 Tauri have been identified, but many remain hidden in dense forests or perched high on isolated hills, almost as if they are intentionally obscured from view. Why were these structures scattered across the island in such a deliberate manner? Were they all part of a single, unified culture, or did different groups with varying beliefs construct their own megaliths in different areas? The geographic spread of these megaliths suggests that they were important not only to the local communities, but also to the larger island-wide culture. Could these structures have served as a network of sacred sites, each one reinforcing the other, connected by shared beliefs and practices? There are also those who believe that the Taurian megaliths may have had a deeper, more mystical significance. Some have speculated that the structures were designed to align with astronomical events, such as the solstices or equinoxes, much like the great megalithic sites of Britain, such as Stonehenge. The possibility that the megaliths served as markers for the movement of celestial bodies, perhaps guiding the construction of a larger cosmological map, adds an additional layer of mystery to the site. If the builders of the Taurian megaliths were using the stones to track the stars or to measure time, they would have needed a sophisticated understanding of astronomy. Did they, like other ancient cultures, view the heavens as a domain of the divine, a place where earthly events were mirrored in the movement of the stars? As we stand before the towering stones of Corsica, we are left with more questions than answers. The builders of these megaliths have long since disappeared, leaving behind only the stones as a testament to their ingenuity and beliefs. The Taurian megaliths remain a silent witness to a culture that understood the power of stone and the spiritual significance of the landscape. What was the true purpose of these towering structures? Were they simply ceremonial, or did they serve as places of power and protection? Did they represent a connection between the living and the dead, or were they markers of celestial significance? And, perhaps most intriguingly, what secrets might still lie hidden beneath the stones, waiting to be uncovered? The Taurian megaliths of Corsica, like so many ancient sites, remain a mystery, their purpose and meaning locked away in the landscape, waiting for the next generation of explorers and researchers to unravel the threads of their story. And as we leave the site, we can only wonder what other mysteries, like the Taurian megaliths, lie hidden across the world, waiting to challenge our understanding of the past and our place in the greater story of human history. Nestled on the quiet island of Gozo, part of the Maltese archipelago, stands a stone that has puzzled archaeologists, historians, and explorers for centuries. Known as the Tal Kadi stone, this massive, upright megalith is not just a relic of the past. It's a silent witness to the enigmatic history of an ancient civilization whose knowledge, practices, and beliefs remain largely hidden beneath the weight of time. The Tal Kadi stone itself is not large by the standards of some other megalithic structures, but its simplicity is what makes it so striking. At roughly 2.5 meters tall, the stone stands in stark contrast to the surrounding landscape of rolling hills and gentle fields. Carved with intricate geometric patterns and mysterious symbols, the stone is a testament to the craftsmanship of the ancient people who placed it here, though its purpose remains an open question. It rises out of the earth as if from another time, reminding us of the mysteries that are yet to be fully understood about the people who lived here long before written records were ever kept. What sets the Talcati stone apart from other standing stones is the uncertainty surrounding its meaning and function. Most megalithic sites, such as Stonehenge or the temples of Malta, are believed to have served specific purposes, whether as astronomical observatories, burial sites, or religious centers. But the purpose of the Talcati stone has yet to be definitively explained. Some believe it was a marker of sorts, perhaps a boundary marker or a way to mark sacred space. Others have proposed that the stone might have been used in rituals, where it played a role in connecting the living with the divine or the supernatural. There are even some fringe theories that suggest the stone might be a map of sorts, a symbolic representation of celestial movements or geographical locations, though no definitive evidence has surfaced to support this claim. The megalith sits in a small open field not far from the ruins of a prehistoric temple complex, and it's easy to imagine that it once stood at the center of something far more elaborate. The surrounding landscape, with its sweeping views of the Mediterranean Sea, suggests that the placement of the stone was no accident. Could the stone have been strategically placed to align with certain celestial bodies? The idea of ancient peoples using large stones to mark solstices or lunar cycles is not new, and indeed many megalithic sites across Europe demonstrate a deep understanding of astronomical events. The question arises, was the Talcati stone part of an astronomical observatory used to track the movements of the stars and planets? Could it have been part of a larger network of sacred stones, each one playing a specific role in a vast cosmic calendar? One thing is certain, the Talcati stone was crafted with intention and skill. The carvings on the stone are some of the most intricate in Malta's prehistoric megalithic tradition, featuring geometric shapes that appear to be both symbolic and functional. The most prominent feature of the stone is a series of concentric circles etched into the surface of the stone. These circles are reminiscent of ancient symbols found in other parts of the world, from the spiral motifs of Celtic culture to the sun and moon motifs of pre-Columbian America. But what do these symbols mean? Could they be representations of cycles, perhaps the cycle of the moon, the sun, or the seasons? Or are they connected to something deeper, like the passage of time, the fertility of the earth, or the movement of celestial bodies across the sky? Theories about the purpose of the Talcati stone range from the plausible to the speculative. One idea is that it was a marker for a larger sacred landscape. In many ancient cultures, stones and other monuments were used to demarcate boundaries between the sacred and the mundane, with ritual spaces being defined by standing stones or other significant markers. The Talcati stone could have served a similar function, acting as a boundary or entrance to a sacred space or temple. The nearby ruins of the Gantija temples, some of the oldest and most remarkable megalithic structures in the world, provide further evidence that this part of Gozo was of great religious significance. Were these sites part of a larger complex, with the Talcati stone serving as a marker between the earthly and the divine? There is also the possibility that the Talcati stone was part of a broader network of megaliths across the Mediterranean, serving a more symbolic role within a regional or even intercontinental belief system. The Maltese Islands have long been a crossroads of various civilizations and cultures. The presence of other megalithic structures in the region, such as the temples of Hagar-Chim and Manajdra, suggests that these ancient peoples shared knowledge and practices that spanned vast distances. Could the Talcati stone have been part of this larger network, a focal point in an ancient system of belief that connected the islands of the Mediterranean and beyond? And then there are the fringe theories, which, while intriguing, remain unsubstantiated by concrete evidence. Some have suggested that the Talcati stone might have been used for astronomical purposes, such as marking the rise or set of specific stars or planets. Others have proposed that the stone's carvings could represent a primitive form of a map, possibly leading to other megalithic sites or sacred locations. While these theories remain speculative, they underscore the ongoing fascination with the stone and its elusive meaning. Despite the many theories and ideas proposed over the years, the true purpose of the Talcati stone remains a mystery. It's easy to become captivated by the idea that the stone holds some sort of hidden knowledge, whether about the stars, the earth, or the gods, and to imagine that the key to unlocking this knowledge is just within our reach. But as is often the case with ancient sites, the stone only speaks in whispers, its true meaning veiled by centuries of silence. What we do know is that the Talcati stone is part of a long tradition of megalithic structures built by ancient peoples with a deep reverence for the land and the forces that shaped their world. Whether the stone was a marker, a ceremonial object, or something else entirely, it stands as a testament to the ingenuity and spirituality of those who built it. It reminds us that ancient civilizations, while long gone, still leave traces of their beliefs and practices in the stone structures they left behind. As we stand before the Talcati stone, we are faced with the same questions that have intrigued archaeologists and explorers for generations. What did it mean to the people who placed it here? Was it part of a ritual, a celestial observatory, a map of the stars, or perhaps a boundary marker marking the edge of sacred ground? We may never know for sure, but the mystery itself is a reminder of the vastness of human history, of the knowledge and understanding that once existed but has since faded into time. As the sun sets over the fields of Gozo, casting long shadows across the stone, we are left with a lingering sense of wonder. The Talcati stone, like so many other ancient monuments, remains an enigma. And perhaps that is the greatest mystery of all. Why some stones, some places, some moments in history continue to elude our understanding, holding their secrets close, waiting for the right moment in time for their stories to be fully revealed.